fantastic. Kino, cinema. Okay. So this is the moment where Elon Musk unfollows Asmongold after Asmongold's videos come out and Elon Musk sees it and he gets very mad.
Stand it. Elon unfollowed Asmon. Was he not happy about the, probably not happy about the PoE video?
Yeah, not even gaming. Elon Musk is not getting away with this.
There's no way he played that account.
Just running past Kazov.
No loot filter.
Please not pressing his mana blast.
He's individually dragging the maps into the inventory.
Level 48.
It's not really about one of these things happening. It's about everything happening. There has to be hundreds of hours to being level 97. If Elon Musk can prove that he played this account to 97, I will stream on X starting the day that he proves it for an entire year straight, every single stream that I do. It was so obvious. You cannot get mad at me for bringing this up. If somebody does something that I like, I'm going to say, I like the fact that you did that. But if they do something that I don't like, I have to say that it's bad. Because if you don't do that, that's not really telling the truth, is it? What is this? He responded about it. I love my Chinese alter ego. Okay, here we go.
So one of the questions was, am I going to comment on the Chinese driver of my Path of Exile account? Yes. His name is Elon Musk. And he's amazing. I rely on him for everything.
God, he's such a lame ass dude. Oh, yeah, Elon Musk. Yeah, he's the one who's running the account. Yeah.
Well, there it is. The mystery has been solved. There we go. The ghost scammer.
Ian Miles Chong. Damn, you going hard. So many deaths along the way. It's so, like, these guys are such pathetic fucking cringe lords, man. So bad. Like, the dick riders. Here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. The dick riders know full well that the only thing Elon wants is unlimited rides on the penis, okay? That's it. He will always go back to the offering. He will always turn around and defend and hype up his greatest riders of the penis, the cock carousel dick riders. And of course, Ian Miles Wrong is one of the greatest examples of this. Tim Pool's another one. There's a bunch of these guys out there. Many of them are just like right-wing weirdos, right? Oh, Quinn called Ian Miles Wrong out? Oh, hell yeah.
This guy is like one of those dudes like in leather tied up, you know, like he's like a gimp. Right, he's like he's a personification of like a gimp on Twitter, and all he does is eat Elon's ass. And Elon replies to him and agrees with him all the time. Yes! And it's like, bro, this is not a human being.
Okay, I need to tell you guys something very funny. I've had real journalists, not tech journalists, like tech journalists are real journalists too, but like straight up political journalists reach out to me because they're like, hey, do you know this Quinn guy? I'm not even kidding. I've had people reach out to me so I can put them in contact with Quinn. Now, if Quinn wants to, he followed me recently and I followed him back just now. I DM'd him. I was like, if you want, I can put you in contact with some of these people if you want to go and talk about this in mainstream news. But it is so funny to me that this story, this investigative reporting from Quinn is causing so many fissures. Ryan Grimm reached out directly to me. It was like, hey man, so are you friends with this Quinn guy? He's in your space. I would love to have him on the broadcast. Like, can you imagine? It's incredible, dude. It is incredible. It's so funny. It is so funny. Holy moly.
This is not a human being. This is like an ass-eating gimp suit wearing fucking bozo clown. He will literally say anything if whatever he thinks Elon will like is what he will type. That is it. Like, it's not even a person. He is a machine learning algorithm of how to like eat Elon Musk's ass the best. And you agree with this guy and reply, like, really?
He's right. And you should say it. I'm so glad that other people are starting to recognize inevitably in a long enough timeline, there was going to be something, okay? Something that causes people to see the truth. okay, inevitably there was going to be something that causes people to recognize that Elon Musk is a charlatan, a con man, thin-skinned, narcissistic man-child. And one by one, the remaining possible Elon Musk fanboys are falling. And I love that it was Path of Exile 2 that caused this collapse to take place.
Crash out over gaming. Earlier this week, Quinn made a beautiful video that's breaking down the fact that Elon Musk is not the one who piloted his Path of Exile 2 account to the top of the leaderboard. It's not a conspiracy, it's not grasping at straws. When you finish that video, and I highly recommend you watch the whole video, it will be very clear, beyond a shadow of a doubt, Elon Musk was not the one who actually got the account to where it was. He instead gets permission from the boosters to play on it and flex it for his Twitter streams. He didn't know the very basic fundamentals of the game. However, I will say that his catastrophe of a stream while trying to show how great he is at gaming was enough to make me get back into grinding Path of Exile 2, because I've been slow rolling it for a while. I was still on cruel difficulty, but then watch.
Yeah. Everyone keeps saying that every time Elon touches a topic they're knowledgeable about was the moment they realize how utterly stupid he is. Yeah. And it causes people to go, wait a minute, if he's lying in this way, because like, look, not everyone is going to be a super genius on every issue. For example, okay, I have my intellectual weaknesses and everybody knows it, right? Like when it comes to foreign policy, I think that's like my bread and butter. When it comes to like domestic issues in terms of labor related domestic issues, in terms of healthcare related domestic issues, in terms of like, rehabilitation, women's rights is probably not my forte, right? I have weaknesses there. It's like, I have ball knowledge and I have enough knowledge over certain issues, but it's clear that like it's not my forte. I would say macroecon is another one of those things, right? It's not my forte. It's not like something that I am the most knowledgeable on. I can dish out commentary in real time out of nowhere in a way that where I can pull crazy amounts of detail for many of the things that I talk about. But there are certain areas where like it's not, certain areas where it's like apparent that it's not my strongest area, right? Now, the difference is, okay, when it's an area that I'm like unfamiliar with, I try not to present myself as like the foremost authority on the issue. And I will voluntarily reveal that this is not my strong suit. Having said that, right? Having said that, that's still within the realm of like what I do, right? That's still in the realm of what I do. Elon Musk, on the other hand, is very obviously trying to enter areas that he has either no knowledge on or very little knowledge on, but also simultaneously presenting himself as like someone who is top 7 on the planet, right? Like Path of Exile, like you have no business trying to present yourself in this way. If you literally tried to present yourself as like in the top 100 of Path of Exile, people wouldn't even pay that much attention. If you presented yourself as like top 1,000 at Path of Exile 2, people probably wouldn't be this invested. But he demonstrates so much hubris as a multi-billionaire where he has to literally be in the top 10, which immediately makes people go, okay, that's impossible. The amount of man hours that you put in, the amount of investment that you put into this game is impossible for you to do, is impossible for you to get to this point. Like it's just physically impossible. You know what I mean? And that I think is the reason why a lot of people will encounter Elon in this area that they're like at least somewhat knowledgeable on and go, oh my God, he is not only like it's not that he's cheating. Okay, it's that he's cheating in such a stupid and visible way. And it also demonstrates his insecurity and the fact that he's like basically doubling down and tripling down and attacking people who are correctly calling him out, that causes people to go, oh my God, what else has he done this on? That's it. That's why it's such a wake up moment, like a wake up call for, I guess, the last remaining group of people that are supposed to be Elon Musk fanboys. I think coming after Asmongold like this is unironically one of the worst things he could have done, because that is like a bastion of pro Elon sentiment. Like that's one of the last like massive communities that probably has like any sort of positive opinions on Elon Musk. He already lost the white nationalists and the mega racists with the H-1B stuff, because he was like, I want to replace all of you. In their minds, they think Elon wants to replace all the tech workers with Indian tech workers. So they're already like very upset at him, right? He was already getting cooked on that front. They were like, oh man, we really loved you when you let us be like as racist as we want to be. But now it's like, now it's kind of messed up because we realized that you put profits over, we thought you were a real one. We thought you were a real racist. And it seems like you put profits over racism, and that's kind of messed up. And now he's losing the gamers. He's still got his crypto bros though. Yeah, he'll never lose those guys, but those guys are permanent bag holders. So you know, it's virtually impossible for them to lose the crypto bros, because they're used to getting cooked. Like their whole world is just like constantly believing in false prophets and you know, losing the bag, having getting rug pulled over and over again, and then thinking this time it'll be different, when there is no evidence that it will be different. It'll be the exact same. It's been the exact same every single time so far. So those guys are kind of stupid, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's like, you know, it's like selling timeshare to a Mormon, you know?
Watching Elon, the bumbling buffoon, try and play Path of Exile was like actual rage bait to get me to go back in and grind hard. So now I'm up to tier 3 waystones in the end game. It's so fucking fun. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. The point is, Elon Musk knew nothing about the game. It was very clear. And the big thing about it wasn't even that he had someone boosting his account for him. It's that he was just in this complete denial and trying to convince people that he is the best gamer alive. Like, this game's a little too easy. I'm on max difficulty, you know, swagged out mode, and I'm just kind of breezing through it because I'm just that good at games, that kind of thing. It's his reluctance to just be honest about like, hey guys, I like this game. I don't have time to grind it, so I paid these people to grind it for me so that way I can get to the end game and, you know, play the content I want. It wouldn't have blown up to this degree. I still think that would have been a little silly, and people would have still absolutely made fun of him for it, but to a lesser degree. It just, what's the point? Why are you paying someone to boost your account? If you like the game, why not just play it on your own time, even if it's not that fast and even if you're not top of the charts? But for Elon, the reason is because he wants everyone to view him as God's gift to humanity. So like, I'm one of the best gamers, check the stats. And he didn't achieve it. It wasn't him. And when Quinn made this video, it very much hurt Elon because the game...
It's not even like, why cheat? I understand why he cheated, okay? I get that, because it's like marketing for him. He thinks it's like boosting his gamer cred. Why cheat to this degree is the real question. Like, you could have cheated smarter, dumbass. You didn't have to be number 7 on the planet. I'm telling you right now, if Elon Musk hired someone, a team of like very good Path of Exile players in China, okay, to farm his account, to constantly boost his account, to engage in like real currency trading in the game, right? Real money trading in the game. All of that is, to a certain degree, if done correctly, would not have caused people to get this mad. Because if you were in the top 500, that's still an incredibly impressive feat, right? But his hubris caused him to go harder and harder and harder and put himself at top 7. Like, that's crazy. I mean, it's just so obvious that it's not. It would have been obvious that it's not you, even if you were in the top 100. Okay. But when you're in the top 10, more people end up paying attention to it. Like, the dumbest person you know in high school knows not to cheat to get 100% on an exam. If you're going to cheat, you have to get like a B+ at best. You're not supposed to get 100% on the exam, man. That is going to cause your teacher to go, wait a minute, you're one of the best in the class. Like, come on. It literally shows how stupid he is. That to me is a perfect demonstration. It's like, you're not supposed to cheat and get 100%. You're going to get unnecessary attention. It's something that you learn in like 3rd grade, man.
gamers that he's trying to appeal to were privy to the fact that he's not the gaming god he claims to be. And that damaged him. So I knew he was going to have a comical response, but I didn't expect it would be this absurd. To set the stage for what happens next, Asmon and many others covered Quinn's video, as well as other people's content, talking about how it was impossible that Elon was the one that actually played on that account because he is just dog shit and knows nothing about the game. Asmon covered this, he talked about it, reacted to the video, and today, Elon went on Twitter and had this to say. Asmon behaves like a maverick independent, but in reality has to ask his boss for permission before he can do anything. He is not his own man.
Dude, and then he leaked private DMs. You are you're the wealthiest person on the planet, and you're beefing with a guy who had a dead rat as an alarm clock in his house that he rarely leaves. And you're beefing with him and you're leaking his private DMs. What is wrong with you? Asmongold was caught with a live roach literally crawling on him, and you're beefing with him as the wealthiest, most powerful person on the planet you're about to be in the incoming administration. You have every agency in the federal government that is prosecuting virtually every single company that you own. And now you are going to be in charge of all of those regulatory agencies, and you are spending your time arguing with Asmongold. I cannot explain to you how much I love this story because of how stupid it is, because how perfectly this demonstrates once again that meritocracy is a lie. Everything Elon Musk does is so narcissistic, so insecure, so ego-driven, and so utterly idiotic that it perfectly exemplifies the lie that is that he worked hard and he worked smart to achieve the level of wealth and power he achieved. This is a 53-year-old man with not one, not two, not four, not 10, 12 children. One of his children he actually has disowned. And this man is spending daytime on beefing with Asmongold. Okay? That to me is insane. It is a perfect demonstration that like CEOs don't do much. Okay? That's the broader takeaway that I want all of you to get from this story, is that if you believe the lie that if someone is super wealthy, they really deserved it, okay? Even though ironically you're watching someone like myself who very clearly lucked into all of this success and all of this, financial success specifically. Duh. But aside from myself, like if you look at someone like Elon Musk and you believe the lie that these billionaires have worked hard and worked smart to get to the point that they got to, and they're still working hard and they're still working smart at the same time while they're specifically doing this petty, nonsensical bullshit, okay? This should be a wake-up call for you. That's it. That's it. It's a wake-up call. Please. Well, I mean, in my case, I do actually quite literally put in the hours. It's visible. It's what I do. My job requires me to be on camera, so you see it. But with Elon, because he's behind a veneer of hard work that he can work in the shadows or whatever, people still speculate that he's working really hard behind the scenes. But like he works extra hard, in my opinion, to basically prove that he's not working hard. Okay? Yeah, the wealthiest CEO on Earth, ironically enough, this is a good point, Gremlo. The wealthiest CEO on Earth would beef with Asmongold because he's got the time, but a top 5 Path of Exile 2 hardcore player wouldn't have the time to beef with Asmongold. That is the reality. If Elon Musk actually was a top 7 Path of Exile 2 player, he literally would not have enough time to send tweets to Asmongold or send any tweets at all, because he'd be grinding at least 18 hours a day, at least. That is virtually impossible for one singular person, especially considering RNG and how important trade is in order for you to get the best possible items and in order for you to be at the tippy top, okay? Like No matter how hard you work in Path of Exile, there's still the element of RNG that you cannot overcome. So clearly, he's not working hard on anything. He's just working hard on this type of shit.
He then leaked his DMs with Asmon, where he said, this is Asmon, I'm going to see if my editors might want to make a second account for it. And then Elon replies, sure. Who are these mysterious editors?
That's crazy to me. He's like tracking Asmongold's editors because he's mad. He's mad at the way his editors, like, most likely from context, who's like, I think he was upset at the way, or like Asmongold kind of probably said like, oh, my editors title my videos like I didn't do it myself or something, right? And Elon, being the 53-year-old man that he is, thought that his editors, okay, being the 53-year-old man that he is, in this former conversation from November 29, 2024, thinks that his editors are like a news editor. He doesn't understand anything. Think about that. He literally heard Asmongold be like, oh, these are my editors, right? They run the YouTube account. Like, this is, so any content I post is edited or uploaded by them, and they just get a cut of the ad revenue. It's a super good system, to be honest. Almost everyone on YouTube does it. Elon Musk thought that meant Asmongold works for his editors and not vice versa, because he is 53 years old and thinks that it works in the same way that it does in newspapers, because he posted this private correspondence with Asmongold with the tweet that accompanied it stating, oh, Asmongold is owned by these people.
He actually sounds like that news anchor. Who is this 4chan? Like, how can someone be this fucking out of touch and stupid? I will never cease to be shocked by the absolute idiot potion this guy seems to be boofing on.
Do you understand how stupid this is? Asmon's DMs to his editors after his convo with Elon.
I said Elon hit me up and was asking if I'd want to post clips and videos on Twitter. Do y'all think it's a good idea? It would probably make separate account for it for monetization. He says that's cool, LOL. I know he asked XQC before too, but I hadn't seen any similar content creators get created.
He asked XQC? Yo, Elon Musk is so invested in Twitch. Oh my God. Oh, Jeff Bezos, save me. Jeff Bezos, please protect me. Jeff Bezos, you are my God King. Please don't turn Twitch into the failure that has become Washington Post with your decision making. Okay, please. We're pulling ahead. I am so scared. Has he DM'd you? No. No, I know Elon knows who I am. I've talked about this before. I had Grimes on the stream, Chad. Yes, he is not a fan. I know all of that. I will not reveal my sources, but yes, of course, I know for a fact that, especially since the Grimes stream, he is very aware of who I am and does not like me at all. Having said that, however, you know, we're just gonna act like that's not the case, because I don't like when people that are that powerful and people that are that wealthy are aware of my existence. So I try not to think about it. I really hope that Jeff Bezos, for example, has no fucking clue who I am. I don't think he does, but I'm glad that he doesn't know, and we should keep it that way, okay? But Elon, I do know. I know for a fact. But hey, listen, I post on Twitter a lot, okay? So please. Anyway, plus I'm right wing now. Exactly. I'm right wing. I love Trump. Please don't come after me. Anyway.
For some more content creators get crazy numbers doing that. People are free to repost as much as they want. I feel the opportunity is there. We've already started spamming clips and videos on TikTok. There are already some repost clips that get a lot of views. Maybe you can tell people to do it in the next stream, and then we can see how it goes. Exactly. So this is the conversation we had. Yeah, this is there it is. Seems like you need their approval, no? Well, I would need their approval in a way.
That's so funny that people are trying to debate Asmongold and being like, seems like you are owned by your editors. Like, even in his own community, there's still people who are so invested in like defending Elon Musk that they're like, no, dude, that's not how this works. Like, it is because he needs their approval. He needs their approval because like he has a more ethical way of running his business than you would suspect from someone like Asmongold. That's it. Okay, you literally do the same thing like Asmon. The editors clip part of your VOD and put the title and thumbnail and yeah, exactly. Of course, most people in our field have a much more ethical way of doing doing business. Yeah, this is the only time that Elon Musk is like, what? Step Brothers the perfect meme for Jeff Bezos and me? Wait, no, this is not it. There was another instance where Elon actually did like reply to someone making fun of me or something, but that's it. What is this? They used Hassan as an example in new community notes guidelines. I'm a fact checker for Meta. They have a fact checking community notes now in the official guidelines. They used Hassan as an example. No, the claim that the Trump rally shooter has been identified as Hank Baker is false. According to fact checking website Check Your Fact, which found the image circulating online misidentifies the actual suspect. Explanation from Meta. This note is helpful because it cites high quality sources, provides helpful additional context, and uses neutral and easy to understand language. That's hilarious. With me wearing the I lubricate my AR-15 with liberal cum shirt too. Oh yeah, this was the one time that he made fun of me. Landed in Mexico and immediately got detained for customs for having too many pieces of electronic equipment for which they made up a number and forced me to pay taxes on. Yeah, but anyway, getting back to it, we're gonna talk about this back and forth. I just wanted to cover like the broader strokes of the story.
Daily, like, how? What do you mean? Who are these mysterious editors? Do you not know what editors are? Holy shit!
No, Charlie. He's 53 years old, so he thinks editors have editorial control over content creators because he doesn't understand that they are video editors. He thinks that they are editors in the same vein as editors at the New York Times. Because in traditional press, in mainstream media, editors have editorial control over what journalists are writing. They're kind of like a boss, a manager. That's what he thinks is going on here. That is the hilarious part of the story.
Keep an eye out.
So then, Asmund explains, two guys, links them, and then they basically run the entire YouTube account, lol. So basically any content I post is edited or uploaded by them, and they can just get a cut of the ad rev. It's a super good system, to be honest. Almost everyone on YouTube does it. And then there's a community note there, which says what should be obvious to anyone with a functioning frontal lobe. Elon Musk seems to think Asmongold is an employee with editors overseeing him. That's incorrect. Asmongold's editors are actually his employees. They edit, upload his content for a revenue share. They don't control what he does. And then Elon Musk proceeds to take away Asmongold's checkmark on Twitter. You remember that thing Elon was like really adamant about, you know, how check marks were kind of like weaponized? Hey, Elon, you're doing that. So the free speech guy. So then Asmund explains, two guys, links them, and then they basically run the entire YouTube account, lol. So basically any content I post is edited or uploaded by them, and they can just get a cut of the ad rev. It's a super good system, to be honest. Almost everyone on YouTube does it. And then there's a community note there, which says what should be obvious to anyone with a functioning frontal lobe. Elon Musk seems to think Asmongold is an employee with editors overseeing him. That's incorrect. Asmongold's editors are actually his employees. They edit, upload his content for a revenue share. They don't control what he does. And then Elon Musk proceeds to take away Asmongold's checkmark on Twitter. You remember that thing Elon was like really adamant about, you know, how check marks were kind of like weaponized? Hey, Elon, you're doing that. So the free speech guy is checkmarked because he hurt your feelings, fundamentally shadow banning him, because without a checkmark, his replies and his engagement go way down and you won't really see it anymore. You're shadow banning someone who hurt your feelings.
Mr. Free Speech, by the way, Mr. Free Speech, once again, Mr. Free Speech.
Elon is just that fucking sensitive. In fact, sensitive doesn't even really cover it. Like, my cock gets sensitive when it gets sucked for too long. I'm like, ooh. But, like, that's sensitive. Elon has reached a new level of sensitivity I did not think was even achievable by a human being. It's just fucking flabbergasted by how soft he is. He has all the money in the world, but is beyond insecure to the point that I can't believe he's a real person. This has to be some kind of like android protocol that's been sent from space, from like space redditors, in order to see like the limits of cringe that can be pushed. Come on. He's talking about editors and then saying Asmund needs his editor's permission to post things. He lacks the fundamental understanding not only of Path of Exile 2, but of life, like of living as a sentient being. How can you even reach that conclusion? I mean, I know how he reached that conclusion because he is a turbo moron who can't like activate neurons and think. So he saw the word editor and made the assumption that it's like the editors that will oversee someone's work in the journalism sector. and he gets these dots, these breadcrumbs that he starts connecting from out of fucking nowhere about how, well, Asmin is actually just a pawn of his editors. That's not just wrong, that is just blatant misinformation. He is actively engaging in misinformation, making it seem like Asmin has a puppet master above him, these editors, that he has to...
Yeah, if you knew anything about Asmongold, he would recognize that his puppet master is his Reddit, okay? People that post on his subreddit. Like, that's the real puppeteers of Asmongold to a certain degree. There are issues that he'll take a stance on against his community's best, against his community's opinion. But like the real puppet masters are not his editors, all right?
Answer to. And then he abuses his power to take away his checkmark. He is actively doing all of the things he says he is super against, and all of the people say that he hates and will never do. He does it. I'm
gonna say it. Critical support to Asmongold in this trying time, okay?
I don't see how a single Elon Musk nipple-suckling leech could see this and conjure up some kind of excuse for it. There's no mental gymnastics that could possibly exist to justify this behavior. It's the epitome of everything people hate. It's cringe.
A lot of critical support here. Critical support for Quinn and critical support for Asmongold. I mean, you know.
It's sensitive.
In these trying times.
It's an abuse of power. His feelings got hurt, so he used his power.
Yeah, detente with Asmonation remains in effect. Exactly. Exactly. Listen, sometimes you make allegiances in the most interesting places, okay?
As the fucking chief general of Twitter to take away his checkmark because he hurt his feelings, and then he goes on to leak DMs. How could you possibly look at that and be like, no, that makes sense. Elon was in the right here.
What? He has been sucking up trying to get back in Elon's good graces all day. Wait, really? That's disappointing. But Elon is such a petty bitch that I feel like he might not.
Like, let's say you just love Elon. You know what? I'm not your dad. You can like whoever you want, like whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me. But why do you have to like something and then love everything they ever do? Why can't you be more receptive to, like, you know, I really like Elon, but this was a bad look. I didn't.
Earlier, Asma was saying Elon was probably right and he probably deserved it, and Elon did an oopsie, but it's fine. No. Still a W for Quinn. He worked hard on that video. Yeah, I love that Quinn is just bouldering Elon. He doesn't give a damn. By Elon's logic, your boss used to be the top of the hour ad break. It's true. My boss used to be the top of the hour ad break, but it no longer is, because at the top of the hour, I no longer run ad breaks because I no longer have a contract. Okay. Having said that, however, you can still subscribe, not to avoid the ads at the top of the hour like you used to be able to, but instead to support the stream. If you would like to do so, it is $6 or free with a Twitch Prime. Ladies and gentlemen, you can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. Subscriptions give you emotes, allow you to avoid the limitations that there sometimes exist on follow mode, and also allow you to send me links. Sect Haver, thank you for the 10 gifted subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour that I don't actually serve. Anyway, let's continue.
Didn't like what he did here. I think this was pretty embarrassing. That's called being normal. For some reason, people just can't be normal anymore. If you like something, you have to be obsessed with it. You have to fucking love it. You have to be like snorting that drug constantly and shut out and hate everyone who pokes holes in it. It's so weird. I don't know why people want to live their life this way. They just want like the black and white. Elon good. Anyone who said Elon not good, they're bad. Elon good. I don't.
Asmongold said it wasn't a big deal. Elon leaked his DMs. That's insane. That is insane. You're talking about the guy who runs this platform, man. He's basically like, he's basically pointing unnecessary attention towards your editors, dude. What the hell? That is how do you ride that dick after the dick has been spoiled, you know?
I don't know why people want that. No one likes to think anymore, and with the way the internet's gone, you don't have to think anymore. You can just wait for tweets to tell you what to think, or even chat GPT to tell you what to think. I guess it's just easier to live your life on like drooling autopilot mode. But I would argue that you are doing yourself a huge disservice in life if you just live this way, where even if you really like Elon, whatever, why not just be receptive to the idea that he's not infallible? Maybe he does make mistakes. Maybe he is cringe sometimes. And you can acknowledge that, recognize that, and then at the end of the day, still like him if you want. It just doesn't compute with me. And of course, it's not exclusive to Elon. It's a very normal thing now all of a sudden where if you like something or like someone, anything that is brought up that's negative about it is like the end of the world to you, and then you spend hours a day arguing with bots on Twitter about it and defending the thing you like. I just don't get it. Elon Musk, I think, is just the best example of this phenomenon because his fan base does PR for him as if it's their actual job. Like,
yeah, it's like the worst of the worst in terms of like parasocial behavior, because Elon Musk has the money to actually hire people. Like, if there's one guy that could just like simply hire people to do PR for him, it's Elon. And he does PR, right? He has a PR team. So what's crazy to me is that like people in that situation still ride him into oblivion. They ride him into oblivion like a bunch of medieval peasants that think that this is their only opportunity at a shot at being a part of the aristocracy. Okay? Like, they straight up, I totally understand how these like, my lord deserves the extra grain type peasants existed, okay? Back in the day, during times of monarchy, where the lordship and the God-ordained divine king was able to command such a large swath of the population because they thought that they could have a crumb. They thought that they could have a crumb of the gold that the king has in his dungeons, okay? That's straight up what it is. Please take my wife on prima nocta, my lord. I would be honored if you took my teenage wife's virginity, my lord. That's what they're doing. That's how they're operating. Like, for a shot, for a crumb of like Elon Musk's attention, they just literally do free PR for him. It makes no sense. At least back then, the leaders appealed to divinity. Today, there's no logic other than money equals power equals intelligence. Yes, the thing that held that kind of structure under theocratic monarchies was obviously the fact that, you know, God made the king, right? And that's why he deserved it. Now it is a failed notion of meritocracy under capitalism. It's not God that put Elon in that position. It's actually this lie that society constantly reinforces, that Elon actually worked harder and worked smarter than everybody else to get to that position. That's it. That's it. This is what many times over. It's just like we worship the throne of the almighty dollar, okay? Instead of previously assuming that someone in a position of power was God ordained. And for some people, it is actually still godliness. America is predisposed with this. America is predisposed with the notion that with the notion of prosperity gospel, right? That like, if you are poor, it's because of your own moral failures. If you're rich, it's because God has actually shined his graceful light upon you because you deserve to be rich. So there is that same mechanism of reinforcement even with American understandings of Christianity as well. So there is that too. Make no mistake. Have you mentioned that Elon is doubling down on being a God gamer? Yes, I'm going to get to it in a second. Hold on. We got more.
Like, they are professional PR drones for Elon that he doesn't even have to pay, because they are in the trenches every single minute of every single day, suckling on him, arguing on his behalf, shutting down any criticisms against him. It's just so embarrassing, almost as embarrassing as Elon himself. So yeah, anyway, I had to talk about this, because what an incredible response from Elon to just take away Asmon's check mark and then leak his DMs, where he completely misunderstands that editors aren't like his overseers. It's so, oh my god.
Anyway, so, but the story doesn't end there. So one of these like Elon Musk dick riders, basically, American YouTuber, Twitch partner, gamer living in Seoul, comes out in defense of Elon Musk, making a full YouTube video. Elon Musk, of course, immediately responds to it because, again, he has so much time on his hands. Like, how did he find this guy? Like, how did he see this video? Like, anyway, it's got 1.3 thousand likes. I wonder how many it did before Elon even replied to it. But Elon replies and says, Asman behaves like a maverick independent, but in reality, has to ask his boss for permission before he can do anything. He's not his own man, okay? And that's crazy because this reinforces the idea that we were talking about previously, his stupid understanding of what editors are, because he thinks that Asmongold's editors are his bosses, okay? He thinks Asmongold's editors are editors in the same vein as like a New York Times editor, like a managerial staff position, okay? And then he gets context noted. Asmongold does not have bosses. He employs content editors to package and redistribute content from his live streams and on other platforms. Then he doubles down, or triples down, quadruples down. Here's me doing a world record Diablo AOZ clear with Ace of Spades headquarters on stream. And then Ian Miles, Dick Rider Wrong responds, I'm a regular Quinn69 viewer. He's gone from being the biggest Elon meat rider to thinking Elon's a total clown as a result of this. Oh, amazing. I love that. I love that more people are recognizing how he is. All right. You shouldn't have to justify yourself to these people, but it's nice that you've got receipts to prove your gaming credentials. Elon responds to his biggest meat rider and it says, I'm on hundreds of streams on YouTube and Twitch playing live with the world's best players. No other way to say this, but while Asman is good at caustic commentary, making fun of people, he is not good at video games. Once again, by the way, repeating that Elon Musk is an Asmongold fan. Connor, of course, took advantage of the situation and said, can vouch for this. As one of the world's best gamers, it was electric having you on Fortnite Friday. Keep proving the doubters wrong. Back to Grok. Lamau, loving it on here. To which Asmongold also replied to not the Maverick tweet, but the other one. Oh, this is where it all began, obviously. Like, he posted this as proof. It's just like, I think people who are Elon reply guys are... People who are Elon reply guys who just like try to defend him everywhere online are some of the lowest of the low. Like, I can't think of being in a lower, I can't imagine being in a lower position than that. Like, you are such a, like, you have no self-respect, no self-worth whatsoever. Like, you are just the bottom of the barrel in society, honestly. It's kind of, it's disgusting to me. I don't know. Maybe it's too much for me, but I genuinely find that to be so gross. I also don't understand it because it's like, I still, to this day, don't understand why Elon is so desperate for taking matters into his own hands in terms of like, doing his own PR. I mean, I get it because he is truly stupid. He's not like the brilliant savant that he portrays himself to be. But it's just so stupid that he just won't delegate this one thing, right? Like, just hire a PR team and never be online. It's so dumb. The more you appear online, the more accessible you are, the more people are going to recognize that you're a pathetic little ego-driven narcissistic man-child. I don't get it. If I had his level of wealth, okay, I would have dropped this socialism shit a long ass time ago. Let's be real, right? I can't even get to that level of wealth and prosperity without obviously exploiting millions of people. But I would just never be online. Like, I would never actually entertain access. There are a ton of other billionaires who don't do that on purpose. They don't do that because they understand that if you interact with the average person, they're inevitably going to realize that, like, there's no difference between you and them. And as a matter of fact, you might be dumber than the average person as a matter of fact. So, like, they're going to start entertaining the notion. They're going to start destroying the notion, dissolving the notion of meritocracy. in real time. But because he's so narcissistic and demonstrates so much hubris that he thinks he can still overcome this. Okay? It's very, very sad. If I was a part of the billionaire consortium, if I was a part of like this shadowy league of billionaires, I would try to do everything in my physical power to stop Elon from posting. He is messing up the bag for the rest of the billionaires. Okay? Straight up. Like, if I'm Richard Branson, I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You're ruining the situation for us. We've had it so good. We currently have wealth inequality to the same level as the Gilded Age. Like, we're talking Great Depression era wealth inequality. Shut up and build a new wing for a museum. What's wrong with you? What is this constant, like, desperate, self-effacing, and sometimes self-aggrandizing way of trying to routinely get the sweatiest people to be on board with everything that you're doing, to have them admire you and think of you as this like brilliant guy? If you want that, get a news hit. You can pay for it. Like, there's the reason why there is all of this like pre-existing Elon praise is quite literally because he used to do that. You understand? Because he got Time Magazine to write glazing articles about him. He got people used to consider him to be Tony Stark. And basically he is still running on the initial propping from mainstream media. He also lucked into a tremendous amount of wealth and was able to lie his way to the top over and over and over again. And once you get enough institutional investors on board who have a vested interest in you maintaining your credibility, then because you're the key man for all of these companies that have other people that are invested in it, then they're going to try to defend you to the best of their ability. And Elon regularly tries to ruin that. That's why you don't know much about German billionaires at all. They stay hidden as much as they can instead of trying to be a celebrity. Yeah. But the thing is, if you are a billionaire, here's the thing. If you are a billionaire, you can already you can purchase that level of admiration through the appropriate channels. Do you understand? You can buy that kind of fealty. The problem is he won't do it that way. He won't do it through the appropriate ways of buying that kind of fealty when there is a multi-billion-dollar marketing and PR sector cultivated specifically to be able to do that, right? Instead of going through the regular route of just, like I said, donating a bunch of your money to, museums or whatever and have your name slapped on the side of a museum. He tries to do it directly. Okay? And that is a failure. There is a reason why other wealthy people don't do this, don't do what Elon is doing, and do the other thing that they've done historically. Okay? And he's been doing this since he called that British diver in Thailand a pedophile, The Resnicks here in LA are a great example. They're shut up evil but enjoy good PR thanks to their friendship with Colbert and museum donations. Yep. It's amazing how embarrassing it is, how much power, how much awesome power this man has over the lives of the Americans and maybe even the rest of the planet. And he's over here duking it out with Asmongold, man. And over what? Over what? Because Asmongold dared entertain the notion that he was phony in video games. Asmongold, every other day of the week, has slopped up Elon Musk. Every other day of the week. It's shocking that despite his endless admiration about Elon, the one time where he's like, yeah, man, it seems like you're fake about Path of Exile, something that virtually everyone else has recognized, he just goes, no, that's a bridge too far. Speaking of the Resnicks and Pistachio Wars, do you know if Yasha Levin has any beef with you? There was a tweet. I wasn't sure how to interpret during the Ethan drama. Wait, no, Yasha loves me. What are you talking about? He DM'd me directly after the firefighter, the firefighter coverage. No, I don't have any beef with him. Yeah, I saw. I like that the community notes are also talking about like, oh, they deleted it. No way. The community notes are talking about like Asmongold's accomplishments as a gamer. No, it's there. I just saw it. I mean, the website is so busted, so it's not an accident that like you can kind of see it but not see it as well. Warcraft logs is such a misinterpretation of WoW player skill, just so you know. Yeah, I mean, I don't really care. What I do know is that Elon is a fake gamer and Asmongold is a more real gamer, even on the aesthetic side, okay? Let's be real. Asmongold is, even just on looks alone, okay? Judging, if you put a photo of Asmongold side by side with Elon and you were like, which one of these is a real gamer? 99.9% would say Asmongold, okay? Also, Asmongold doesn't claim to be the best gamer anyway. I don't think he has ever done that, as a matter of fact. He just, I mean, he is a degenerate gamer, and that much is true. I don't know, bro, if you ask me is hard both or nerdy, come on, dog. Asmongold literally looks like the archetype of a person who has spent too much time in front of the computer. I mean, those are factually accurate statements. In between saying factually accurate statements such as that one, he basically said, like, yeah, he roached. Okay, a term for those of you who don't know, and I didn't know this either, when you run away instead of doing the right thing in a raid, that he did the wrong thing, and his reaction wasn't great, but then people went nutty mode over it, which then ultimately led to Pirate Software getting banned, kicked out of the guild, and that's it. All bets are off as soon as you choose to play hardcore mode in WoW. It's just stupid because the game isn't designed to be played in that way in the first place. I used to respect you until you started discussing WoW. I think this is the maximum amount of WoW discussion I'm going to give you. Especially because it's like pretty funny to look at like how much involvement there is. This video has 453,000 views. This has been like keeping people up at night. Okay? This is keeping people up at night. People are so upset. People are losing their minds. Every large content creator is given a take on it. And for me, it's like looking at this from the outside, especially as so many significant things around the world are happening right now in real time. I just can't help but laugh at what keeps people's attention in this day and age. You know, it's amazing. This is why people laugh at us. Wait, what? Laugh at us? It's so funny to think that these guys who have been staying up at night every single day, day in, day out, because of like hardcore WoW raids, would turn around and be like, you guys care about Israel, you freaking losers. But yeah, bro, we got nothing else. Everything is falling apart. I kind of get it because I think of how annoying it is when randos online are like, you need to hold yourself accountable. Like, yeah, why he was not dealing with this. Yeah, no, I know. But there's a difference. Like, if you've truly done something that people that are in your orbit also believe you've done wrong, right? I think the best possible thing to do in that situation is not to double down and to be like, I'm wrong here. It's the worst thing to do. I know that. You know what I mean? It's the worst thing to do, especially when like people use this as an avenue to attack you for irrelevant things. Like people will develop resentment towards you, especially if you're a popular content creator. If you're like a somewhat well-known content creator, people will just like develop resentment towards you regardless because they just see your face too much. That's just how the internet is. It's very weird, right? And in that process, a lot of people will just pile on. A lot of people will just like pile on and use this as an opportunity to reinforce their resentment, right? Hassan, are you serious? You never do that? Lol, you're always doubling down. Yeah, famously, the one thing that everybody bullies me over is when I predicted falsely that Russia would never invade Ukraine. And famously, I also did not apologize for that and kept doubling down, if you recall. Oh, wait, that's not the case. I literally did do that, and people still yell at me over it regardless. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, my point is like, you should do the right thing. And you know, do it for your own sake, not for the sake of like getting people out of your hair, but do it for the sake of like, you know, it is as if they blame Palestinians for Hamas. It's dumb to take the blame just so Israel doesn't hate you. Please tell me you're not comparing WoW drama to Israel-Palestine. I'm going to I'm going to shut off the stream for the rest of the day, I think. I think 42 minutes into the broadcast, I'm done. I'm done. This is going to be one of the shortest. This is going to be one of the shortest returns. Okay. Someone unironically compared like a person playing WoW to a genocide that's going on. That's insane. Anyway, we're going to be talking about Elon Musk crashing out because he's a child as well, obviously, because that's really funny. Now you have to play WoW. I will not be doing.
So with the news that there is a ceasefire being agreed between Hamas and Israel, the libs have been taking it pretty well. Of course they haven't, and a lot of them don't even want to talk about it, because as we saw throughout the election, the libs were saying to every leftist and just anyone, you must vote for Joe Biden because Donald Trump would be worse for Gaza. I don't know how they knew this. They just suspected he was going to be. Despite the fact Joe Biden and Anthony Blinken are some of the most vicious Zionists in the history of the American government. That is not an exaggeration. Go back to Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, even George Bush, who are all better on the Israeli-Palestine issue than Joe Biden and Anthony Blinken, right? But they're saying you must ignore what Joe Biden has done because Donald Trump would be worse. It's just an insane argument, right? No wonder it didn't work with anyone, because when you're seeing what happened in Gaza at the hands of Joe Biden and Netanyahu, you weren't thinking, oh my God, this could get much worse. You weren't. It literally was the worst it could be. There was no rules for Israel. And as we found out recently, there was no pressure on them to stop. It was only when Donald Trump came in, there was actually pressure for a ceasefire for the first time. Significant pressure. And that's from insiders who've been working on negotiations throughout this process going back to May. And you saw a lot of these tweets. And a big one was, oh my God, if Donald Trump becomes president, he's going to nuke Gaza. And this guy saying, it's like one of these resistance grifters. I can't vote for Harris because of Gaza. Cool, you just got Gaza wiped out of existence, congrats. Spicy take from me, if Kamala Harris had become president, there would be no ceasefire right now. Because she probably had the same people carrying on from the Biden administration. And we've seen she was so resistant about going against Biden. So this was the sentiment you saw around election time. You know, Gaza deserves this now, and all you Muslims, you deserve this to happen because you're all idiots for not voting for Biden. But now it seems Donald Trump, in a very, 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 very short term, is better on Gaza than Joe Biden was. Now, if you're seeing this later, because I'm streaming right now, I've made a video how this deal isn't good for Palestine. Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about Palestine, and probably his second term is going to be bad for Palestinians, right? At the same time, we have to not, pretend that these people weren't being hysterical and saying all this shit, which was just trying to shame anyone who had a conscience into voting for a president doing some of the worst crimes of the 21st century. But I found something very interesting recently as well. So you guys might not have seen this, but there was this dinner or some gathering of resistance rifters at the White House. So they all went to dinner with Joe Biden. They were all getting pictures. This person is big on Twitter. I remember them. And now, annoyingly, how do they have me 500,000 followers on BlueSky? Can we get rid of libs on BlueSky? I've been on BlueSky since beta. Didn't used to be this many libs. And it's so funny. They're both not talking about the Gaza ceasefire deal, and they're all thanking Joe Biden for being a great president. Imagine how soulless you have to be. Because the thing is, if you follow politics this much, these resistance grifters, you know what's going on in Gaza is fucked up. I can't believe you've brainwashed yourself to the extent that you don't think Joe Biden has responsibility for what's happening. So the other alternative is you've just sold your soul for money. This is what people like this person have done. So if I go on their timeline, haven't talked about Gaza, but they are posting shit like Trump's mugshot, right? So fucking stupid. And then again, imagine being this soulless when Joe Biden is going out of office, probably one of the worst presidents ever, and you say this: thank you, President Biden, thank you for your lifetime of public service. Also, if we're talking about Biden as a lifetime, this is actually a fucking insane statement. I know American politics better than every American, but Joe Biden is the architect of the crime bill. Even if he didn't do what he did in Gaza, he still tripled the US prison population and made a racist criminal justice system way more racist, which causes so many problems in America today. That's Joe Biden. So if you think about his lifetime, that's what he did in his lifetime. That's his legacy. His legacy is the prison industrial complex and Gaza. And you're thanking him for that. Thank you for your kindness, your compassion, your empathy, your character, your love for America, and your leadership. You have given everything to our nation, and I shall remain forever grateful. Does this person actually believe this? Imagine getting a photo like that with, I don't know, fucking Hitler. Because that is, okay, not exactly the alternative, but you know what I'm getting at. Someone who's done terrible crimes against humanity, and you get a picture of them like there's some old senile like grandpa who's always been there for you your whole life or some shit like this. American liberals, man, they're our enemy. They're the enemy of humanity. I'm not even joking at this point. The way they coat all the worst crimes they do in this identity politics garbage and civility, I hate them so much. Speaking of people I hate so much, that's just a random person. I know them as a resistance grifter. Let's go on to another one, right? David Pakman, who also went to that dinner thing. Yeah, he isn't talking about Gaza. So remember with David Pakman, I made a whole video on him. The only time he talked about Gaza was after the initial attack on October 7th. That was to basically shame anyone who opposed Israel, saying that Israel has always dealt with this. Being against Israel is like anti-Semitic. And then when that first hospital was destroyed, he blamed Palestinians and said anyone who doesn't blame Palestinians is an anti-Semite. As Israel proceeded to then destroy every other hospital, he's never said anything. So as the ceasefire is agreed, thanks to Donald Trump's pressure, Trump is taking credit for the Gaza ceasefire. Do we have any evidence that Trump was involved? I mean, you cover Trump 24/7, you slop YouTuber. That is all you talk about. And you're trying to pretend that you don't know that it's widely reported that he had a massive influence in this happening now because he wanted it done before he was elected, right? That's all this guy has had to say about Gaza in like 6 months. Because I don't know if he's paid by the DNC, David Pakman specifically. It's all about access. Yeah, he went to the Biden thing. He shook Biden's hand. Imagine shaking Biden's hand after everything he's done. But David Pakman supports Israel, and he always has. So I'm not surprised he doesn't mind this. But here's the funniest one, right? I put him in the video as well. Brian Tyler Cohen is another Trump slop YouTuber. He hasn't said anything about Gaza. Like David Pakman said some things that were bad. This guy hasn't said anything. Okay, I'm not saying this, like I know this. I would not be surprised if he was literally on the DNC payroll. He is so well connected with actual DNC politicians, like Democratic politicians. And it seems like they all get the same briefing every single day. This guy isn't talking about Gaza either. Like he actually, this is the only thing he said about Gaza in like not 6 months, in like 1 year. He had a Pod Save America guy to come on his show after October 2021. We live in hell. Reporter, who gets credit for this? You or Trump? Biden, is that a joke? That's all he says. All he said about Gaza is trying to defend, Biden. We live in hell, not because the most terrible crime against humanity of the 21st century has been happening over the last year and a bit, because someone asked who gets the credit for the ceasefire deal. And again, Biden doesn't get the credit because he didn't put pressure on Netanyahu to ever accept it. So Trump gets the credit because he's the one who did it for whatever reason. We know this, right? So these liberals are just so disgusting to me because they pretend they care about human rights. If you go on this guy's profile and every liberal resistance grifter, they're talking about, oh my God, Republicans are anti-trans. Oh my God, Republicans are anti-women. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. Look at all these people. Look how bad and crazy they are. But when it comes to their own people, their own party doing like literally crimes against humanity, nothing to say. And we all know, like you know deep down, all these liberals, if this was Donald Trump doing this, they would be going after him all the time. But they don't because it's their guy. And that's why liberals, and we're seeing this more of like Blue MAGA, this is why they're so disgusting. Blue MAGA and liberal resistance grifters, they don't give a shit about anything. They only give a shit about their team winning. And basically, I think they only care about the civility stuff so they can pretend politics isn't happening. Because when someone shows you the face of the American empire, like Donald Trump, you have to pay attention. Remember everyone crying about kids in cages at the border? Joe Biden did that. Anyone crying about that anymore? What about all the terrible treatment of Palestinians by Donald Trump? Oh my God. They've taken the Golan Heights for Israel. Isn't that so bad? Donald Trump is saying all these terrible things. He's saying he's the king of the Jews and stuff like that. Oh, Joe Biden and Blinken back in Israel doing way worse things. Silence. Can't even, act like it's not even happening. And if you ever address it, act like Joe Biden can't do anything about it. When there's so much precedent of US presidents stopping this very thing from happening. So, like I said, these people were also the same people who were shaming everyone into voting for Biden and then Kamala Harris by saying Donald Trump would nuke Gaza. So you must vote for the guy who's basically allowed Israel to drop as many explosives that, you know, that create, I don't know, an explosion that maybe equals like Hiroshima or some shit, right? What about that guy? And I'm just so done with American liberals cosplaying as leftists infecting the online discourse. But how the fuck does this guy have 600k followers on BlueSky? BlueSky is like a year old. And that's why it's so annoying. I can't get rid of these people. And they just, like, even in my own audience, when I made a video on these two, I got so much backlash from it. People getting mad, people defending Biden, people still defend Biden in every comment section of my videos saying they subscribe to me as well. I'm like, are you insane? Are you insane? So Americans fundamentally are never educated on economic issues. So they never understand how the world works in terms of like how global capitalism works and the US role in global capitalism. So you've got some fucking idiots like this making a crazy living. Talking about 3 billion views on YouTube. This guy's views are fucking insane, by the way, and it's pure Trump slop. Easiest thing to do is be against Trump because, you know, he's uncivil. But Trump and Biden are very, very similar. Like most US presidents have been very, very similar, especially since Bill Clinton. So these people acting like they're part of some sort of resistance. Resistance to fucking what? You resisted Trump, you elected Biden, what did he do differently? And what did he do for anyone? Nothing. And people can say, oh, we did this really like tiny little reform of a total broken system that he benefits from. Okay, great. But yeah, liberal resistance grifters, no one should ever listen to them. And they are just grifters, right? You have to know this by now. If they're not talking about Gaza, it's because these guys are not all idiots. And I imagine if I talked to Brian Tyler Cohen in private about Gaza, I could probably get him to say some negative things about Biden. Would he ever say them publicly? Of course he would, because his audience would turn against him in a second, and you actually saw that happen a bit after Donald Trump was elected, because loads of these people's audience felt lied to, because they were told so much that Donald Trump was actually going to lose in a landslide, and he won in a landslide. So he felt gutted. And yeah, just realise, don't listen to liberals. Liberals are pro-capitalism, liberals are pro-imperialism. Their only problem is its ability. They don't give a shit about the rest of it. This guy has never said anything bad about Biden, and in fact, this guy is probably the worst because after Joe Biden's debate with Donald Trump, where even like Nancy Pelosi, one of the biggest Dem insiders ever, like was the architect of him stepping down from running again. This guy made a 20-minute video defending him. Like, how can you be that spineless? I mean, it's a lot of money, that's why, that you defend Joe Biden when literally the whole world was making fun of him and saying he has to go. Even like the most hardline Dems, like he has to go. And this guy was saying he should stay. And his debate wasn't that bad. And they always talk about how like Fox News, there's like a Fox News reality, like conservatism. There is an MSNBC, CNN reality that like tens of millions of Americans live in, where they don't actually think anything is wrong with the country apart from Donald Trump as president. If Donald Trump was simply never president again, the world would be better. If you know, AOC, Pete Buttigieg, whoever, you know, some other like centre-left Dem, centrist Dem became president, or like the dictator for life, things would be good. And it's frustrating as well, because the one thing I would say about American liberals are pretty good on social issues in a way that like maybe British liberals aren't, because all the transphobia or just reactionary anti-immigrant sentiment. Like American liberals can be pretty good. Like just like your average, like, I don't know, 50-year-old liberal or something like that. They can be okay. But then it's like they're steered in such a terrible direction where they just support horrible people like Joe Biden forever. And it's just sad. But that's the way American media works. You've got CNN, you've got Fox News. They both point you to the same conclusion. You're both going to support the status quo. And it's just basically two flavors of the same thing. So, yeah. And one thing I'll say, too many American leftists sound like this guy, and we must purge American leftists from online spaces, because I'm so done with American leftists, the lolicon left, the pro-NATO left. We're just not going to get anywhere with people listening to these types.
I absolutely understand and appreciate that people are vehemently unhappy with Israel, with Gaza, with inflation. I am by no means here trying to claim that Joe Biden is perfect, because he's not. But here's the thing, they're never gonna be perfect. I've never seen a politician in my entire life whose views align with mine on every issue, and that's okay. That's how it is. That's how it goes.
Fundamentally, I'm not a socialist because I want an egalitarian, free, self-determining society. And that type of society will not emerge from authoritarian apparatus. And what that means is that at the national level, socialist and communist structures are fundamentally authoritarian. And at scale, enacting socialism or communism becomes authoritarian. Today, I want to take a few minutes to tell you about a really innovative platform doing some very cool things in the world of decentralized finance, DeFi, and the project is called La Cucina. We've partnered with La Cucina to create this video. Essentially, what La Cucina is doing is incentivizing DeFi users to discover great DeFi projects, which otherwise might get overlooked. The foundation of La Cucina is, and really what they're setting out to do, is remove the inequities that we often see in DeFi, because La Cucina believes everyone should have the same ability to reap the rewards of their crypto. But La Cucina applies this egalitarian philosophy to DeFi projects as well. There's too many barriers for people trying to set up a farm on a major DEX.
What is up with the advertisements on your channel with always involving crypto? Like,
what do you mean always? Most of our advertisers have nothing to do with crypto.
You always do these single video advertisements, and they're always sketchy cryptocurrency sort of things. A lot of people do not approve of you advertising these things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, we have advertisers. We make clear when things are sponsored or it's an advertiser. I can't think of any advertiser that I've not had people complain about. When we have, you know, a cereal company, people write in saying the cereal is expensive and not very good and we really shouldn't be associated with them.
Okay, I have a really exciting announcement that I want to share about something I've been working on for a long time. I've written my first ever book. It's called Shameless. Also, the book features interviews with a raft of absolute pros in their respective areas. I sat down for this book with Jen Psaki, Pete Buttigieg, Al Franken, Mehdi Hassan, Dan Pfeiffer, Mark Elias, and Heather Cox Richardson. And the foreword is written by Jamie Raskin. I could not be more proud of the team that came together for this book, and I'm beyond certain that you'll benefit from hearing what they all have to say.
Welcoming to the show today, Brian Tyler Cohen, listed by Don Lemon during our appearance as MAGA's worst nightmare.
So this is a video I've wanted to make for a while, and it is talking about liberal grifters. Now, I guess if you're just clicking on this randomly, you might have seen some of my videos, maybe you're not subscribed. I am a leftist. I am not a liberal. You might, if you don't really pay attention to politics, get me confused for a liberal. I know I get called a liberal enough because I guess maybe the more binary nature of American electoral politics, you have your liberals and you have your conservatives. But I am not a liberal. Liberals are pro-status quo. Liberals are pro-Democratic Party. Liberals are pro-Israel. A lot of the time, liberals are pro-capitalism, and liberals generally, in my opinion, are very, very racist. A lot of them very anti-Muslim at this time, and you see liberals in like America and the UK just going like absolutely mask off over the last several years. So although maybe I can agree with liberals on stuff that is bad, like Donald Trump is a bad man, we don't really share the same politics because fundamentally they don't really view things through an economic lens. They view it through both like a team sport and have a massive focus on identity politics above all else, which usually leads them to like demonizing anyone who doesn't vote for their favorite party, and that includes both people on the right and leftist like myself. So yes, I firmly do not consider myself a liberal in any understanding of the word, and I actually think I hate liberals nearly the most out of any political group. Fascists are obviously the ones I hate most, but liberals are up there, mainly because a lot of liberals are actually very educated. They know their stuff, and they can talk at length about policy, but the way they consume politics and the way they talk about politics is basically in a way where they do not want you to imagine a difference to what they're talking about. Like, they can't even fathom there might be a different system that might be better. To liberals, what's wrong with the system is not the system, it's who's running the system. So if only we could elect more Democrats, if only Democrats can have a supermajority, then basically most of America's issues could be fixed. And that is really what they believe. And today we're going to be talking about David Pakman and Brian Tyler Cohen. Now, these people are actually pretty different from one another, because when I use the term liberal grifter, I guess a few things might come to mind. David Pakman is actually like a liberal grifter in the traditional economic sense of the word, and that he often takes or doesn't take political positions for money. And he's a guy who has done every single sponsorship under the sun, including like crypto, NFTs, which he's conveniently like scrubbed from his channel, but we still have the records of him talking about it. It's clear the direction this guy took his channel is purely about profit. And also what you're going to find, which is common between both of them, they don't talk about Israel. Nearly ever. David Pakman, of course, did talk about Israel when he wanted to run cover for why they should crush Gaza. We're going to talk about that. But since then, he's been pretty quiet, despite it being the top news story every single week. Hasn't really made a video in about 6 months, and the only videos he's made are his audience calling into his show to get him to talk about it. Otherwise, he hasn't covered it. And with Brian Tyler Cohen, he's basically never covered it apart from the first day, apart from like October 8th or 9th, where he had some guy on who used to work for Obama to talk about it. And what both these two have in common is they just talk about Donald Trump. Every single video is about Donald Trump being bad. I don't know how these people aren't absolutely bored out of their mind, considering it's nearly 10 years since Donald Trump entered mainstream politics, and they're still just talking about the most stupid stuff like, oh, Trump spoke wrong, Trump said something wrong, Trump made a mistake, Trump is bad. And again, it's just pandering to a blue MAGA audience who see Trump as some sort of like Voldemort, Emperor Palpatine figure, and if he just went away, democracy would be saved. And these are the types of people who support like Kamala Harris getting endorsements from like Dick Cheney. Like, they're the people who think like we should unite for American democracy, and that's what I mean. These liberal grifters don't want you to even entertain a different world that isn't like American democracy, which doesn't actually exist in the first place, and you do not have democracy under capitalism. And the US is probably one of the most stark examples of a system completely perverted by neoliberal capitalism, where politicians do not represent you in the slightest, and you have no choice because both parties are the same on about 80% of issues and slightly differ when it comes to social things like LGBT rights. But if you just consumed this anti-Trump slop from these liberal grifters, maybe you firmly believe that if Kamala Harris wins the presidency and then she does 2 terms and then another Democrat gets in, then all will be well with America. And that is just obviously like not the case, and that is why you shouldn't be a liberal, because you're just deluding yourself into blue MAGA fantasy land when you should have a more, you know, economic class analysis of the world and realize the US government is not your friend, and it will always serve the interests of capital, no matter who is in charge. And that's why basically Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden virtually had the exact same foreign policy as each other, and Kamala Harris or Donald Trump for a second time will have a very similar foreign policy to what we're seeing right now. So all of that coming up for you today. Also, I want to promote my fundraiser. We're talking about Israel again. So my fundraiser for medical aid for Palestinians, that also works in Lebanon as well. It has passed our newer goal of £5,000, and it's nearly at £6,000. Could I potentially hope, if I shout it out a couple more times, we could get to 10,000, which would be really amazing. So if you haven't checked out the fundraiser yet, please go check it out. Also, consider supporting me on social media, so follow me in other places, and also consider becoming a patron. Trying to build up as many $1 to $3 patrons as possible, and benefits include early access to videos, or most of my videos, and also access to the Discord server. And I've also turned on YouTube channel memberships if you just, you know, want the generic benefits of that. I am working on better ones, but you know, you get badges, stuff for live streams. So if you care about any of that stuff, please go check it out. The links to everything down in the description. So just before we start with David Pakman, I want to say one more thing about liberal grifters. Liberal grifters do not mean liberal YouTubers. So let's say like the Young Turks and someone like Destiny, I guess, they are liberal YouTube channels. And I don't think they take positions purely for money, or they really think about it in terms of money. Yes, they are successful economically. At the same time, because they have so many opinions which are pretty, you know, in my view, disgusting, I don't think they're really censoring themselves to make money, right? It's not as though TYT and Destiny are just covering Trump 24/7, but that is very much what these two YouTube channels do, because it's very, very easy cash when you're exploiting a blue mega audience. Now, actually what's funny is David Pakman, when he was starting out, or when his channel was just younger, he would cover a lot more stuff. And that's how I could make a video that was, I don't like David Pakman, right? And I talked about his takes on Cuba, his takes on capitalism, his takes on socialism, and his takes on Israel and BDS, which were terrible. But back in the day, you could say this stuff and people wouldn't really care. So this is between like 2015, so I guess like 2020. He was talking about BDS being hypocritical, being useless, obviously having some sort of bias because it specifically targeted a country like Israel and not other countries of human rights abuses.
Black Lives Matter says that BDS is a movement which shares their goals of an end to the war against black people. Number one, most black people in Israel are not in Gaza or the West Bank, but in Israel proper. If you ask them, would you rather be here or in Gaza or the West Bank? Figure out what they say. You will be very interested at the results of what they will tell you. If BDS said, hey, we are a movement that seeks to use boycott and divestment to call for change in countries whose policies we don't like or are oppressive to groups of people or whatever, and we're going to apply that tactic everywhere that we see these problems, that would be one thing. But no, that's not how BDS works.
It's just Israel.
BDS has said, we want change in Israel to the extent they believe is warranted, and we could debate that. What technique can we come up with to try to hurt Israel specifically? And that is what Lewis is getting to. And when we talk about the principles of humanitarianism and human rights, one of those principles is the worst first. And there is no basis under which one could argue, if we are just to look at the world and say, let's apply BDS tactics to the worst first, that you would have a group that is solely focused on Israel. Absolutely undeniable. There is no question about this.
Which is always really laughable that he didn't understand why organizations that operate in Western countries target Israel above, let's say, like China. It's because Israel is propped up by Western governments. And also, he basically said, like, Malcolm X might have supported Israel, which is absolutely, like, unhinged if you know anything about, like, Malcolm X, the very devout Muslim.
I think this is terrible for optics. People forget that actually many African American activists and thinkers were on the side of what is colloquially called, used to be called Zionism, which now is like a bad word. It used to mean just a place where Jews can be safe and not get kicked out of, right? And even Malcolm X declared the year before he was assassinated that Pan-Africanism will do for the people of African descent all over the world the same that Zionism has done for the Jews all over the world. Now, to be clear, I'm not using the sort of caricature definition of Zionism of settlements and right-wing governments like Benjamin Netanyahu. I am unequivocally opposed to those. I am saying Zionism in the form from the 1920s that is being used here, there should be something like Israel that exists. So to pretend that there is this natural connection between Black Lives Matter and anti-Israeli movements like BDS that have cropped up is absolutely ridiculous.
Safe to say, David Pakman, in my view, never had good takes on anything, but I think what's clear, and a through line from his old coverage to today, he's a pretty staunch Zionist. Now, when I say that, that might conjure up images of like the worst Israeli supporters. he's very much a staunch liberal Zionist. And I also personally believe he's prejudiced against Muslims. And you're going to see that in some of his coverage of Israel and Palestine. Now, I want to focus on some clips that came out at the end of last year. So these occur between October, I think, to the end of November. And he really hasn't covered it since. And this guy basically ran cover for all of Israel's actions towards Palestine and Gaza. And I don't know if he plays stupid, but he certainly likes to conflate the sides as if they're as bad as each other. But I just want to show them, because looking back now, they're gross, but people were calling him out at the time. And also, what you have to note is, this is pretty rare for him these days to give a take that might appear contentious. But when it comes to Israel, he does make exceptions because he takes opportunities to actually exploit certain periods in history or the news to give his side. Now, one interesting thing is when Israel was attacking Gaza in 2021, he basically didn't make any videos on it and said, I can't make videos because I don't know what more there is to say.
Now, normally I would just jump right into the story and what's going on and my perspective. But because of what I came into my office to this morning, dozens and dozens of emails and messages from people speculating as to why I haven't talked about this yet, making all sorts of accusations and allegations. I've not spoken much about it yet because I've not felt that I have much to add or say that's different from my analysis the last time we talked about it.
Again, this is one of the biggest news stories in the world. He's a guy who makes a million videos about every little thing Donald Trump does. Couldn't take like 1 or 2 videos to make videos about Israel, but that was back in 2021. Let's listen to what he had to say in October and November 2023. So if you remember, in October 2023, Israel bombed its first hospital before destroying all of them. And a lot of people who are pro-Israel ran the story at basically, no, it wasn't Israel, it was actually a Palestinian militant group. And this was quickly disproved, like, when this happened. Like, a lot of legit news organizations were casting doubt, saying, from the evidence, it doesn't seem like it would be a Palestinian, it seemed like it'd be an Israeli. And now, of course, they've destroyed them all. But how does David Pakman frame this?
Right now, we have democratic countries who, if they make a mistake or lie, are subject to negative consequences, saying this wasn't Israel. They've released information, radar, audio, video. Internal assessments agree this was not Israel. On the other hand, you have a terrorist authoritarian group with no checks and balances and no consequences for lying, saying it was Israel. And if you don't believe that there's no consequences to lying, there are still members of Congress who on Monday tweeted Israel killed 500 people at a Gaza hospital. Now that it's abundantly clear that it wasn't Israel, they have not deleted their tweets. Some of them have even doubled down.
So in David Pakman's view, Israel has all the evidence and it's presenting it to the world. It could never lie because there are consequences. If Israel lie, there's no consequences for scary Hamas. And oh, it's so bad that people didn't believe them, even though it turned out, as usual, they have a long history of lying and they were once again lying about this. This is how liberals ran cover for all the terrible actions Israel did. Did he ever clarify he was wrong? Did he ever say sorry? Did he ever say that, yeah, he was misinformed or got it wrong? What do you think? Of course he didn't. Because when it comes to actually having a political principle on an issue, David Pakman seems to make an example for like blaming Palestinians for everything bad happening to them. So let's continue. So the big theme of what you're going to see with David Pakman's coverage of Israel, he thinks Hamas and the Gaza Strip and their government is worse than Israel, right? And this isn't to say I love Hamas, I love Islamicism and stuff. I agree with what happened in the Gaza Strip when Hamas took over. It's nothing like that. I just think it's pretty clear who's the aggressor in this conflict, as he likes to call it, and who's worse. It's pretty clear Israel are worse. I don't think anyone sane would make the argument that any of the militant groups fighting them are actually worse than them. But something he's consistent on is he actually thinks they're worse, even though their body count is lower, even though they target far less civilians. He doesn't care about any of that. They're just worse They're just worse. Because why?
We are actual leftists. We don't support authoritarian regimes. We don't support terrorism. We don't support violence of any kind. And that includes violence coming from Israel to innocent Palestinians. We don't support movements that subjugate women or LGBT people or those who say, I don't want to be part of this religion anymore. We feel terribly for the Palestinians living under Hamas. Lots of the people supporting Hamas in the West would be killed by Hamas, or at least subjugated, and that's lost on many of the so-called progressives on the left. So we need to make sure that we don't ignore death and suffering on any side. On any side, it's a disaster. It also has to be recognized that after a terrorist attack, countries will defend themselves. Apply what happened here with Hamas to anywhere around the world, and we would be saying, well, the victims have to defend themselves. But the attacks on me as I thought you were a progressive, I want to hear which progressive value I'm not espousing. Are you a progressive? If you are, then how on earth do you stand in favor of an outrageous, terroristic, authoritarian regime that subjugates women, puts its own people in harm's way, uses civilians as shields, opposes gay rights, women's rights, pluralism, diversity of every kind, everything that supposed leftists claim to defend and support, the way I do, is attacked by Hamas.
So I've been talking a lot about like liberal Western chauvinist fascism on this channel recently. That's a good example of it, right? He's really murkying the waters of the whole issue by saying, well, Hamas are bad. You progressives, or let's say you communists who support LGBT rights, like freedom, blah, 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 they would kill you or subjugate you. So they're actually very, very terrible. And Israel actually has a right to defend itself against them. And obviously, completely ignoring the context of Israel is actually a country built on top of another country. And they're creating this situation where a group like Hamas even exists in the first place. Let's not forget Mossad actually funded the rise of Hamas, and they're a reaction basically to continued Israeli occupation, continued Israeli settlements. And yeah, you can say socially, I don't agree with them, right? But let's say it's not Hamas, it's the PLO, or let's say it's some like communist, socialist, Palestinian resistance movement. Do you think that really matters to these people? It doesn't really matter that they're like an insurgent group with illiberal beliefs. To people who support Israel, it matters that they're fighting back. And I've always said this, and again, they're trying to make you not support Palestine by being like, well, their government would hate you. We don't want Israel to completely destroy their culture and people because we might have differences of opinion with their government right now. So again, this is around a similar time period. David Pakman essentially just blamed Palestinians for never wanting to live in peace with Israel.
The worst time to get a good deal is when you're losing a war. And at this point, it can't be said that Hamas is winning this thing for Palestinians. And if you go back to the 1947 partition plan, it was a 50-50 divide of the land, which at this point would be a fantastic deal, I believe, for Palestinians. They rejected it in 47 because they believed Israel should not exist and should have zero land. And then you talk about the 2000 Camp David summit, and you talk about Bill Clinton's attempted negotiation and the rejection of all of these deals. That's part of the context as well. But David, you won't say that in 67 and 73, Israel stole more land. Well, that's missing context. Israel was attacked by Egypt and Syria in 67. And so they defended and were able to claim land in war as happens. Does that mean I love it? No, but to say that on a whim in 67, Israel said, let's take some land, isn't what happened. Whenever people say there's missing context, you're also missing context that's relevant to understanding the history. And so at the end of the day, there's a movement from the left that I think is misguided, which is to say, this is super simple. This is a simple issue. And when people try to interject nuance and say, you really have to understand 47, 48, and 67 and 73 and the negotiations under... No, you're trying to defend Israel by making it seem complicated when really it's simple. Israel's bad, period. That is not the nuanced sort of thinking that I encourage. And if you don't like that, then this probably isn't the show. For you, there are shows which just will tell you Israel's uniquely bad, period, and that's it.
I do find how he used the early stages of what was happening to just go mask off about everything. And even what he was saying at the end, you know, this isn't a show that will tell you Israel's uniquely bad. I mean, would most people tell you it's uniquely bad? I certainly wouldn't. I would say it follows a long tradition of European settler colonialism. But the way he frames it as, yeah, the Palestinians rejected a deal for a 50-50 split of the land in 1947. Yeah, because they were literally having a new country forced on their country built on, like, ethnic cleansing. So I'm sorry if they didn't want to accept that deal. It's like saying, oh yeah, the British went to Ireland and said, we'll split the land 50-50 with you, and the Irish rejected it, so they're bad. The complete rewriting of history here just shows you how much of a hardcore Zionist this guy is, saying that, like, you know, in 1967, Egypt and Syria, of course, just invaded innocent Israel, like completely ignoring all the provocations that Israeli settlers had constantly done in stealing more land from these countries, which caused this conflict in the first place. Of course, a lot of it was motivated by, you know, freeing Palestinians, but they were provoking others in the region and they wanted to provoke them into a war. There's a good book I read by a BBC Middle Eastern correspondent called Jeremy Bowen, has very intimate details about the lead up to a war and how much the Israeli cabinet, not the Israeli prime minister at the time, but the Israeli cabinet really wanted war with the other states. So you're seeing his narrative of Israel builds a country on another country, and it's actually the Palestinians' fault for constantly rejecting all the deals ever. They're so unreasonable, aren't they? They're so unreasonable. How could they reject like a 50-50 split of their country? You would do that, wouldn't you? You would do that, Americans, if Canada just came into your country and said 50 for us and 50 for you, or if, you know, China invaded your country and said 50 for you, 50 for us, you'd accept that. And of course, as like an Irish person, the English didn't just do 50-50 to our country, they just took it all. And when we finally had a successful resistance movement, they still kept a lot of Ireland for themselves, which has caused more problems and actually caused Ireland to have a civil war over accepting a deal that allowed the British to remain in control of parts of Ireland. So with all that context, it's really not surprising to people like me that, yeah, Palestinians wouldn't be okay with that. But to people like Pacman, it's of course the Palestinians that are the bad guys here. So that is David Pacman in October and November 2023. He used the opportunity of the conflict to suddenly start making videos on Israel again. You know, told us in 2021, what more would he have to say? But he used 2023 to launch these Zionist rants about how it's all the Palestinians' fault. Now, if you actually search on his channel, he's hardly talked about Israel since, because it probably dawned on him, like, the horror of what was happening, how wrong he was, but that's also bad for business, because if you keep talking about this and actually put forward your own political points of view on what's happening, which you know a lot of your audience would increasingly become more horrified by because of the escalating violence, you'd probably stop making videos on it and revert back to the old Trump is bad, which he did do. But I did find some instances where he did continue to talk about it. these are still old videos, and he hasn't made any recently. So I got these saved. One is called Caller Confronts Me About Hamas vs. Israeli Terror. I want to watch a bit of that. And then Caller Confronts Me with questions about Israel and Gaza. So these take place in March 2024. And these are the last two videos I can find on his channel about this. Now, maybe there are some other videos. YouTube search function isn't great these days, but I did spend a lot of time trying to find more videos about this. And these are the only two recent ones, which aren't recent at all, that I could find.
And then I guess kind of relating to that, would you support like a permanent ceasefire in Gaza right now?
I would absolutely support a permanent ceasefire if both sides were willing to do it. As I've said before, and as Bernie has said, and Hamas has said they will continue trying to do the attacks like on October 7th. So practically, I don't know how you do such a ceasefire, but I would completely support an end to hostilities if both sides were willing and stuck to it, yes.
Just quickly on that one, again, plays into this consistent narrative he's had that it's actually Hamas that never accept the ceasefire. If you've been following the ceasefire negotiations throughout, they've often agreed to it only for Israel to change it and make the deal basically completely untenable to anyone. Like, no one would accept what they're offering, and the Israelis have constantly derailed negotiations by putting this stuff in, and that's why Hamas don't accept it. Yeah, Bernie Sanders, who's also a Zionist, saying you can't negotiate with them, is also, in my opinion, racist and believing that the Palestinians basically cause their own suffering. But no, if you follow that even back in March, it's pretty clear that the side who don't want to negotiate, and they've constantly said it because it's, yeah, the fascist government of Netanyahu, it's Israel that don't want the ceasefire. And it's pretty clear they're never going to feel pressure to do one. That's why that was in March, and they've continued to do this. They've continued, and they've actually expanded their war, which David Pacman seems to have not spoke about either. So again, it shows you everything about these people, that they will use certain opportunities to say this stuff, but will not actually cover this conflict properly because, in my opinion, of financial considerations. So let's watch one more.
Hey, I was just wondering, like, with the whole Israel and Gaza thing, like, how come when Hamas does kill civilians, it's considered terrorism, but when Israel does it, it's like moral, righteous? Like, what's the difference here?
There's two different things here. One is there are some media outlets that have a bias one way or the other, and that can explain how they cover the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. There's another aspect to this also, which is that there's a difference between civilians as collateral damage, which is still tragic, but different than a policy of finding and killing civilians. Now, I know just by saying that, lots of people will be furious with me and they'll say, David, Israel does have a policy of deliberately targeting civilians. We're not going to be able to have that fight right here, but at least theoretically, Mr. Mosley, does it make some sense to you that there's a difference between a military carrying out operations and accidentally killing civilians? We could say not enough concern, disregard, but different than Hamas, for example, saying let's find civilians to kill of no military or strategic value whatsoever. At least theoretically, do you agree that there is a difference between the two things?
Yes, but I have seen videos online where there's like drone footage of like they're just aiming at people that are just like walking or with their kids.
I am aware that over the last 10 days, there was a video floating around purporting to show drone strikes on random Palestinian civilians, and that was the initial narrative. I read up a little bit about it. One of the things that seems to be very clear is that this is so crazy to think about it this way, but the idea that Israel would take the time and incur the cost to randomly target 4 civilians just walking down the road doesn't comport with anything we know about how the Israeli military operates. You can say a lot of things about the Israeli military. I struggle to think that they are going to, quite frankly, waste ordnance on 4 random civilians walking down a road?
So I do kind of love how this question got him squirming, but yeah, pretty gross. Is this like the IDF spokesperson or something saying that there's a difference in theory with what the IDF do and what Hamas do, because the IDF in theory don't try and target civilians, and actually I doubt they would, because it'd be a waste of money and ordnance. Everything we've seen, everything we've read has made it clear they target civilians as a matter of policy. Like, all this stuff about human shields was always an excuse if you weren't a fucking idiot, but obviously we've seen it now, we've seen the footage, and we've actually heard about how commanders basically don't discipline their troops if they go out and commit war crimes, and they're just allowed to do it, basically. And on top of that, they actually do target civilians. They target journalists, like we've seen that recently, texting journalists, saying you better stop your coverage or we'll kill you. Then they kill them. We have seen this, and doctors have attested to how snipers have targeted children. This is what this guy wants to talk about. This is in March, by the way, but at the same time, we knew stuff like this back in March. It's just pretty clear this guy's support for Israel is just something you can never change him on. But even him squirming right there, I think, is a good indicator. This is why he doesn't cover it. Because if he covers it, he has to admit his bias, and he's going to say unpopular things like, oh yeah, I really doubt everything we know about the Israeli military, they wouldn't target civilians because it's a waste and it's just not how they operate. But actually the other groups do. And as we've seen recently, Hezbollah and Iran have only been targeting military targets in Israel, which goes against the rhetoric we're seeing here. And he's basically using, you know, the October 7th attack to paint this picture that all these groups only target civilians, where what we're seeing now is the Israeli military largely targets civilians in Lebanon and Palestine, and it's the other groups that largely target the military. And that's part of the reason you can explain why the casualties, civilian casualties, are just overwhelming on the Lebanese and Palestinian sides compared to the Israeli side. Again, the insane pro-Israel bias on this guy is clear, so that's why he doesn't talk about this stuff, because this is such a contentious issue now for the Democrats, because so many people are turning against them for their handling of this. He can't really get back now and say, oh yeah, Israel don't target civilians. Like, he can't say that. Even if he wants to say it because of his bias, he can't say that because overwhelming evidence is that they do. So I just wanted to play you all of that to show you how it's so insane that he he takes little moments where he feels safe enough to spout this Zionist rhetoric and then goes back to hiding behind anti-Trump coverage. And I'll show you this before getting into the rest of the video. If I just type in his name on YouTube, right, and I search by the last week, here are all the videos I get. Trump supporter grills me, then I convert him. Massive Trump glitch raises medical questions. Red alert, Trump takes lead, poised to become president. Trump takes questions, absolute collapse. Trump lost, confused on stage for 39 minutes while music plays. Why is Trump hiding his medical records? Watch, Biden crushes Trump in mega viral moment. Trump's health guru, RFK Jr., spits out nonsense. The disturbing links between Trump and Stalin and Putin. Electoral map shifts to Trump. So basically, all this guy's coverage is just about Donald Trump because he pretty much only cares about financial interests at this point, even if he previously might have wanted to say something maybe a bit more interesting about other topics. And let's get into this now. There is not a sponsorship this guy won't do. Now, this came out a long time ago, and it's actually on the Destiny subreddit I found some of the receipts. So he promoted so many really shady crypto and NFT shit. I mean, I'm not going to call them scams because I don't know the ins and outs of all of them because the videos have literally been removed. But loads of this stuff, not from Pac-Man, I don't know, like I said, but loads of this stuff that was rife on the internet. Company sponsoring videos were for like crypto pump and dump scams. And someone left all the links to a lot of them, and if you click on them, you're just met with this. If the owner of this video is granting you access, please sign in. So they're clearly privated. Now, even on his own show, it had David Pakman promotes another crypto scam. This time it's some cryptocurrency called Centric. It had an FEC advisory put out against it in 2020. And the comment section and its likes are being astroturfed as hell. Then on the majority report, they have receipts. David Pakman shills another crypto trading scam. David Pakman at it again, shills for shady NFT pyramid scheme. Because, obviously, I'd imagine he could probably even get into legal trouble for promoting a lot of his stuff, like a lot of these influencers do. There's not a lot of evidence about him doing these like crypto sponsorships. There is a weird video he put out which just seems like a normal video. It's called High Savings Rate and Crypto Buyers Bad for the Economy. So he just like, he talks about like a normal video about the US economy, but it's actually an advert for something called BitLevX, which if I click the link, I can't even go on the website, but it's just like a platform for investing in cryptocurrency.
All right, let's talk a little bit about personal finance, I guess, in a sense. Let's talk about the national savings rate as a result of the pandemic and sort of some other related topics, and we'll sort of build up to what some are calling kind of like new asset allocations that make sense for the average person. Nothing in this video is financial advice, just as a reminder. We're just talking about some of these issues. There's a very interesting article in The Atlantic by Robert Shapiro called What the U.S. Loses When Americans Save Too Much. And it points out, accurately, that during the pandemic, Americans socked more away than at any time in recent memory, and that's a problem. The other thing that's sort of going on as all of this is happening, and I don't pretend to know what the impact of it is going to be, is that more and more legacy financial firms, and you can like them or not, you can trust them or not, but a lot of people pay attention to them, are starting to say that the average person could, or even in some cases should, make cryptocurrency a part of their portfolio. JP Morgan, for example, says, they said it months ago, investors could make Bitcoin 1% of portfollios. And that sort of relates, actually, to a platform that I've been trying out lately that I'll take a second just to tell you about. The platform's called BitLevX. This video was sponsored by BitLevX. After we reached out to them, we partnered up on this video. They have a really unique product. It's basically options with leverage. I've never really traded options before. I've been wanting to just dip my toe in a little bit, find out how they're priced, and so on.
That is super shady that he didn't straight up say at the start of the video it's sponsored. You had to get like halfway through it thinking it was like a news segment, and it was actually an ad, and loads of his audience were calling him out. And then this is so funny. Someone actually calls him out to his face on a call, and I'm actually amazed he's left this up, and he's just sweating so bad. Like, listen to how he reacts to someone confronting him. Like, why do you promote all this fucking shit?
I wanted to ask about what is up with the advertisements on your channel with always involving crypto? Like,
what do you mean? Most of our advertisers have nothing to do with crypto.
You always do these single video advertisements, and they're always sketchy cryptocurrency sort of things.
I think we did one in the last few weeks. Can you give me an example of it being sketchy crypto?
One of them was an NFT thing, which was the most recent one, and the other I don't exactly remember the name of, but it ended up failing because of numerous FEC warnings against it.
In terms of the NFT, so are you talking about a cryptocurrency, or now you're saying an NFT? These are two different things. Which one did you mean?
I was meaning all of them.
Okay, but is this call about the recent NFT one or a cryptocurrency? Because these are I can't address them generally if there's a specific thing.
I guess we can. I guess you could address the recent NFT advertisement, because a lot of people do not approve of you advertising these things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, we have advertisers. We make clear when things are sponsored or it's an advertiser. I can't think of any advertiser that I've not had people complain about. When we have, a cereal company, people write in saying the cereal is expensive and not very good and we really shouldn't be associated with them. Advertisers, we mark things as advertisements. We allow people to make decisions about any advertiser that they want, and there's no way everybody will be happy with every advertiser. That's for sure.
So that's so funny how he just tries to get around that guy asking him questions. Because if the guy just said, yeah, you're shilling cryptocurrency and NFTs, what do you have to say about that? Like, your audience don't like it. He could just give a straight answer to that. But it's like, which one? What are you talking about? They're different things. And then saying that promoting cryptocurrency is the same as promoting cereal, which is so funny because, yeah, people could disagree with the ethics of maybe how that cereal was made or the company or something like that. But if you are sponsored by cereal and I use your link to buy cereal, I'm still getting cereal. If you're sponsored by crypto scams and I put my money into the crypto scam, I'm losing my money. Pretty much guaranteed, because that's what the whole crypto market is basically built on, including all the weird stuff he's promoted, right? So that's so funny how he defends himself from this stuff. But it's clear he just epitomizes liberal grifter. Make a million videos about Donald Trump and do any single sponsorship that comes your way. And if someone confronts you about the shadier ones, just say shit like this to them. No one's ever going to be happy with all our sponsors, but we try and be careful or whatever. Again, purely done for financial profit, but I do find it funny how the one thing he's been consistent on is being like really pro-Israel, and sometimes he can't help himself. But again, notice how he never covers Israel. He says all that shit in October when he feels it's safe, because he feels like the climate is, oh my God, everyone is anti-Palestinian right now, based on what Hamas have done. Therefore, I can say all this stuff, how it's their fault they didn't accept this deal in the 40s. It's their fault for all these wars. It's their fault for never accepting the Israeli occupation. I can say that because I'm safe, and loads of Democrats and their supporters all support Israel at this moment. But as time goes on and the whole climate turns against Israel, then he keeps backing down. And the only time he covers it is when people ring in on Discord to confront him, where he maybe will say the same shit, knowing that that video will be completely drowned out by all the anti-Trump spam he's putting up. Talking about anti-Trump spam, let's talk about someone who, on the surface, is less gross to me because he's not promoting like every single cryptocurrency. He's not saying terrible things, in my opinion, about Israel and Palestine, but he is some anti-Trump spammer, like saying absolutely nothing, saying nothing interesting. But what's interesting about Brian Tyler Cohen is he seems to be deeply in bed with the Biden White House, and there's a couple of Gen Z influencers, you might have seen them on Twitter, and it got leaked that they're being paid by the DNC. I'm not saying I know this as a fact. I just find this guy super suspicious, and I wouldn't be surprised, don't know anything if this is true or not, I wouldn't be surprised if he was also on the payroll. And I say that like being paid for sponsored posts, being paid for interviewing certain guests from the Biden White House, because he is insanely well connected to the people in that administration. Like, he's interviewed so many of them on his podcast. He's interviewed Kamala Harris. He's interviewed Joe Biden. He's interviewed all these people. And why I hate his content is because it's shit. Like, it's well produced and he's reading from a script, so it like flies by, it's coherent and shit like that. But he says nothing interesting, and also shames people who have any concerns about voting for Joe Biden. But what is interesting as well, he hasn't actually said anything really about Israel either. Again, very telling he avoids that topic, which is so damning on the Biden White House. But he did defend Rashida Tlaib from being called an anti-Semite back in 2019. But at the same time, he really hasn't said anything. And he also changed one of the titles of his videos. So I found it on another place where it said, Trump attacks Israel in stunning speech. And he changed it to Trump screws his campaign with stunning admission, where he just talks about how Biden is more pro-Israel than Trump, and that's a good thing. But like I said, Brian Tyler Cohen is basically an unofficial spokesperson for the Biden White House. So not only does he absolutely spam anti-Trump content, which does insanely well. Like, this guy must be actually pretty wealthy at this point. So if I type in just his name onto YouTube, again, sort by 1 week, look at this. Like 400k views in 9 hours, which is actually more because that's not the live count. How insane is that? And then before 2 hours, Trump, nearly 200k in 2 hours after putting out a video from 10 hours ago, but he has 400k. Like, this guy must be rolling in it. Trump makes devastating mistakes, screws his own party. Trump gets what he deserves, hit with legal notice. Trump gets brutal surprise. Breaking, Fox host endorses Kamala Harris with a picture of Trump on the screen. Trump rally ends as Trump has bizarre episode on stage, 1 million views. Trump crashes and burns as rally instantly takes awkward turn. Pro-Trump Georgia election board pulls insane stunt. Trump squanders final campaign strep, which with brutal something. Obama humiliates Trump on stage. These views are absolutely fucking insane and so close together. And I actually, because I watch his videos, I'm being spammed with all this stuff now. Like, it just takes over your algorithm, and he is basically like a content farm of anti-Trump content. And guess what? There is nothing interesting to be said when you talk about Trump 24/7. Like, what interesting points can you make at Trump at this point? Like, what interesting criticisms, what interesting things? Yeah, we know he's a fascist. We know he's dumb. We know he's unhinged. So what? Like, who cares at this point? Yeah, he's bad. Democrats, like, run good candidates and have good policies, and you won't lose to him because you're going to lose to him at this point. And what's so annoying is, in secret, people like Brian Tyler Cohen and David Pakman are rubbing their hands together at the thought of another Trump presidency, because that content is going to do even better. You're in opposition now to demonize him. What would they do without Donald Trump? They just wouldn't have this cash cow. Again, as the unofficial spokesperson of the Biden White House, he's of course like supported Biden's stance on Israel and stuff like that, although not really vocally, because this guy seems to completely avoid that issue, which makes sense. If you're like actually working for the Biden White House, you don't want to draw attention to that, just draw attention to all the good stuff. But this is actually so funny. If you want to see how absolutely bought this guy is, right? So obviously Donald Trump versus Joe Biden in that debate was probably the biggest debate win for any presidential candidate in a debate. Like, Joe Biden did so badly, he dropped out of the race. Like, that is how bad he did. And it was so obvious that even hardline loyalists to Joe Biden in the Democratic Party forced him out. Nancy Pelosi said recently, Biden still hasn't spoke to her after she came out saying he had to step down. That's how bad it was. But you know all the stereotypes of North Korea where they're like, the press tell you all this stuff about Kim Jong-un and it's all fake and it's so embarrassing. Listen to how Brian Tyler Cohen covered the debate with Trump, which was like an unmitigated disaster and a terrible night for Joe Biden. So much so, all the comments are actually saying it was terrible for Biden, but it doesn't match with the content what you're watching. So let's listen to Brian break down the debate for us, and let's see how he feels about it.
Here, Donald Trump is desperately backpedaling from the fact that he called veterans suckers and losers. And of course, Trump claimed that 19 people said he didn't say that, but everybody knows that Trump can find sycophants who will say what he wants them to say. The more important point is the fact that General John Kelly confirmed that Trump did say it. So Trump can point to the Stephen Millers of the world until he's blue in the face to lie on his behalf, but John Kelly has nothing to gain by lying about what Donald Trump said. And for a guy for whom the closest thing to military service was calling avoiding getting an STD his own personal Vietnam, it's not exactly far-fetched to recognize that Kelly was telling the truth. There you have it. Donald Trump says not to worry about his age because he aced a test intended to detect dementia, and also that he won 2 golf club championships at his own golf courses. I'm not sure what to say about that, but hey, congrats on handing yourself a golf trophy. And look, let's take a step back here. Did Biden have more difficulty in this debate? Yes, but that's a question of style. Biden was not polished, he stuttered, and yes, he is old. But I would take that any day of the week over Donald Trump, a criminal, a liar, a con man, and an avowed dictator. Trump is a threat to democracy. Biden is not perfect, and Donald Trump is a skilled liar. He practices every day of his life. I am less concerned about style than I am about results, and the results speak for themselves. The U.S. is the strongest it's ever been under Biden, and the world is safer under Biden. That's what's on the ballot in November. That's what will drive my vote. And if you care about the future of democracy, the foundation on which every single issue is based, then that will drive your vote as well.
So it probably won't surprise you that when I looked up this guy, apparently he used to be an actor because, yeah, like, can you imagine watching that debate and then going out and just saying like, yeah, it's just his style. His style. Biden just didn't even seem like he knew where he was in that debate, and it was like literally, it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch. As someone whose granddad had Parkinson's and stuff, and you know, older people declining, it just looked like them being thrown up on stage and being asked to debate like really complex political issues. But that's the thing. Biden did terribly. He was polling so badly that his own party kicked him out. This guy would have gone down with the ship. He would have kept telling you that Joe Biden is the best candidate, he's the most progressive president ever, I've heard him say in other videos, and he would have kept making this absolute garbage content to convince you that actually everything's okay. Like, that is why it's so insane. He acts like everything is actually just fine, and you must stop Donald Trump, Joe Biden's not perfect. And also what I find funny is these liberals, they think you can analyze a debate like that, right? And you can just say, oh, Trump is wrong, like on the facts. Trump is wrong. That doesn't matter in a debate. That really doesn't matter. Like, who is gonna go research this stuff afterwards? A debate is all about vibes. And you've heard that famous thing about Richard Nixon versus JFK. People who watched it said JFK won. People who listened said Richard Nixon won, right? That is what you're dealing with a debate. It's about changing people's mind, and sadly, a lot of it is all about show, especially when you've got 2 old people who are so incoherent, talking absolute nonsense to each other. It is just about vibes. Not that I think usually political debates even matter, and lots of times presidential debates don't actually change anything, but this has to be one of the few times in history where this presidential debate actually altered the course of history, and this guy was acting like it actually wasn't really a big deal for Joe Biden, even though he had to drop out afterwards. Now, he also made a video claiming to be a progressive and how Biden wasn't perfect, even though I, don't get the sense from any of this guy's videos that he doesn't think Biden is perfect. And he talks about why you should vote for Joe Biden, right? Obviously, this is, of course, before Joe Biden dropped out, but I just found his logic interesting.
Today, we're going to settle the issue of those on the left looking to punish Joe Biden at the ballot box. So there's been a lot of commentary, mostly from young people and progressives, about how they're not going to vote for Joe Biden because they don't believe that he earned their vote, mostly as a result of Israel, Gaza, or inflation or housing. The reasons differ, but generally fall into that category. This election is not about punishing Joe Biden. This election is about us and the future that we want. Joe Biden is the better vehicle to get me there. And look, this is not to carry water for the things he did that you may be unhappy with. I absolutely understand and appreciate that people are vehemently unhappy with Israel, with Gaza, with inflation. I am by no means here trying to claim that Joe Biden is perfect, because he's not. But here's the thing. They're never gonna be perfect. I've never seen a politician in my entire life whose views align with mine on every issue, and that's okay. That's how it is. That's how it goes. You've heard the saying, voting isn't marriage, it's public transport. You're not waiting for the one, you're getting the bus. And if there isn't one to your destination, you don't not travel, you take the one getting you closest to where you wanna be. If I were to say, I'm not gonna vote for Joe Biden because he wasn't perfect on every issue, that would be me sacrificing my future. And using my vote to punish Joe Biden is not more important than using my vote to protect my future. And look, I think that progressives, of which I absolutely consider myself, play a really important role in politics, especially right now. I think we need to push Biden to the left. And by the way, we have. Biden is the most progressive president of our lifetimes. That wouldn't have happened without progressives pushing him and without a president who is willing to be pushed, if not on everything, at least on a lot. But if the end result is that progressives abandon Biden because they didn't get everything, well, then there's not going to be a whole lot of incentive for any president to listen to progressives in the future if they know that they demand 100% absolute purity and nothing less. If we want Democratic politicians to continue governing in a way that is progressive, they need to know that we're a reliable bloc, not a fickle one. That's how we lose power. We should be doing everything we can to gain it. So if you hear these arguments from people who've soured on Biden, I think the move here is to remind them that it's going to be their country for a whole lot longer than it's going to be Biden's.
So watching that, you might think what he's saying is actually pretty reasonable. And why I'm actually even playing that is because you hear the exact same arguments of Kamala Harris. And why this is so insane to me, as someone who doesn't really give a shit about elections anymore, when you realize like capitalist democracy isn't a democracy, like it doesn't really fucking matter who the UK Prime Minister is or the US President is. It's pretty much a continuation rather than any sort of deviation. What's so insane about what he's saying there is basically like, just shut up and accept it. And him saying he's a progressive is such a fucking lie, by the way. It's just trying to make other people who are more left-leaning listen to him. Like saying that Joe Biden is like the most progressive president we've had, and saying that you have to show the Democrats that you're a loyal bloc who will vote for the candidate no matter what he does, including the most
Hey, hey, hey. Here. Hello. Happening. Oh no. Oh boy. We're pretty good. No, not too much. Went out to Elmhurst again to take out the trash, check on the house. Yeah, walk the dog. Finally, we could go outside for a change. It was like somewhat tolerable. God. So, yeah. Other than that, laundry, not too much. Not very exciting. This is kind of funny. Go ahead. Oh, you go ahead. No, it's not funny. It's kind of funny. Kind of weird. It's not. Anyway, YouTube, you know how it shows recommendations for videos or whatever. Today, 5.0 at the Metro, the whole full concert was recommended to me. Well, did you know that was out there? I'm sure you did. I didn't know it was out there. Yeah. Well, I watched about 5-10 minutes of it at the beginning. Why? It was good, dude. What does that mean, the curtain drop thing? You know what? I got it. Oh, possibly. I got impatient because the guy who was recording it was recording like way too far ahead of the show opening, so I missed the curtain drop, if that's what happens. I just skipped ahead because I was like, it's just people talking in the crowd and whatnot. But you were winging that bass round, man. You were fucking rocking it, dude. Good energy. Good energy. No, the crowd seemed into it. It looked good. How bad? Yeah, because your hometown, or well, not hometown, but. Sorry. I was like, oh, now he thinks it's going to be funny. I don't think he's going to think it's that funny. It's not funny like that. It's just odd. I was like, oh, look at this. Yeah. Yep, exactly. 2002. Yep. Anyway. I was always curious. I was, I went to so many shows like the Metro and Lounge Acts, and I know it would be underwhelming, I guess. Maybe it's better I didn't see it, but I'm always just like wanted to know what it looks like back behind the Lounge Acts and behind Metro. Hmm. Oh, sweet. That's awesome. Cool. Was the would the go ahead. No, go ahead. I was just going to ask, is the band that was opening for you, would they be in the same room, or do you have your own space? So, what were you going to say? No, you said that it would have been that there was separation possible.
Dominating. Secure the objective.
Objective's vulnerable. Take it off.
Taking C. Be locked down.
The next match, can we go to, I have to say this before we jump in, can we go to, oh fuck, what do you call it, Nuketown maybe?
Losing Bravo.
The challenges I have are, I don't know, what are you working on? Because maybe you don't want to do that. Is that going to be...
We lost B.
Yeah.
Cover me. Taking the objective.
Watchdog Helo incoming on your location. Taking B.
Enemy grenade.
Yeah. There it is.
Securing Alpha.
Oh, I just got killed by that.
Given up the lead.
Beautiful.
Watchdog Helo engaged.
Come on.
Taking Bravo underway. Bravo is ours.
Payback. Guess who's back, asshole?
Waypoint marked.
The lead is ours. Losing B.
Enemy throwing stun.
Securing Zone A. Bravo locked. Securing B. Taking the lead.
Add the requested watchdog helo on my grid.
Ah,
B secured.
nice.
Taking the lead. Stay on task.
Yeah.
Taking Alpha.
I'm taking the objective.
Archangel going hot.
Losing Bravo.
Flatlined him. Neutralizing hostile trophy system. Hey, finger off the trigger. Concussion grenade sighted.
Taking Alpha.
Objective's vulnerable. Let's make it ours.
Losing Bravo. All locations locked down. Dig in and hold them. Losing A. Lost to A. We're losing Charlie. They're taking all zones.
On my location.
Lost B. Enemy UAV inbound.
Enemy with Semtex. Beginning capture.
Securing C.
Cover me.
Target marked for LTR.
Zone Charlie locked down. They're taking C.
Assault pack ready. Spotted enemy stud.
Watch my ass.
Bravo zone secure.
Spring mine spotted. Using step.
Losing B.
Sentry turret active.
Oh man.
Capturing the objective.
Securing Alpha.
Oh man.
Losing Bravo.
Eyes on Semtex.
Losing B.
I'm too focused on I have to get stim kills, so I have to like do a stim shot and fucking kill right after a stim shot. And I'm not and I do not and I don't do stims ever, so like it's really tough for me to do them. I'm like it's awkward. I'm like I don't like
Bravo underway.
Cover me. Taking the objective.
you got to do it right before you kill somebody.
Scrambler disrupted.
Taking Alpha.
Come on.
Enemy with Semtex.
Yeah.
Capturing the objective.
Be locked down.
Right, yeah. Yeah, aggravating. It's not, you never play like that.
We're losing Charlie. Securing Alpha. We lost Charlie.
Tally, mine.
Locked down A.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Losing
There.
B. UAV established overhead. Losing Bravo.
Hostiles have eyes overhead.
Lost B. Taking B. Locking down Charlie. We're losing Alpha.
I'm still coming. Enemy throwing stun.
It'll your teammates, Semtex. Oh, right, yeah,
Securing Charlie.
right, yeah, yeah. Now what? No, it doesn't.
Losing
Like, good.
Bravo.
You're about to die. Thanks.
Grenade inbound.
You're stuck like a pig.
We're ahead, but stay alert. Marshall's people are no fools.
Well, I got the stim thing done, which now I have to do sliding kills, which I also don't love that.
Hey, finger off the trigger.
All threats neutralized. Scour the area. Find whatever they're hiding.
Plan was foolproof. Execution was perfect.
Wow. I did not do good
Located Tango.
because I was focused on my stupid challenges.
Hostile gone.
All right, I made progress on the challenges. I'm all right. I'm happy with it. I get a shitty game and. You've only got 1 of 5? 4 or 5. Okay, alright. Yeah. Yeah, and that's it is. It is. I think Saturday, coworker of Rachel's and her husband and I are gonna go to the Tiki bar. That's not too far away. Get a zombie. I guess. Rachel's brother's into tiki culture. He's got a lot of, like, you know, vintage tiki mugs at his old house in Michigan, not the current house. He had a full-on tiki bar in the basement with a thatched roof and bamboo bar and the whole thing. Well, oddly though, he's not much of a drinker. He hardly drinks. Just like, yeah, I know, it's weird, right? I'm like, dude, how do you wear that? Yeah, right? Yeah. He's into vintage retro stuff, obviously. That's it.
gained the advantage. Now hold it.
Slide kill. Oh, the guy beat me to the kill. Oh, that's all right. That was you. I finally had one. I'm like, I'm gonna slide.
Falling behind, Crimson.
No, that's fine. You don't know him.
We're winning. Keep it that way.
Alright. Oh, fuck. Shh. Don't worry about it. Go away.
Hostiles reclaim the lead.
Oh, that's a strategy. Just gonna run back and forth over here. Yeah, right. Everybody get away from me if I'm about to kill. That'll go over real well. You stupid ass.
Stay on target.
What are you talking about? The amusement.
Taking the lead.
Guys, I need some help here. I got a triple kill there. That was kind of fun. A shotgun. I don't know how I did that, but lined up. Yes. Come on. Lordy. Mm-hmm. Oh, I looked at another video about the pyro. Yeah, did you happen to look at it or not yet? Okay. Yeah. No, no worries. No, his thing was he was saying the embassy's the best one to go to for killing him because you don't need a key. Though he went on the roof and then he basically fucked around on some hatch. And that alerted the, basically it said you were in a restricted zone, blah, blah, blah. And that kind of summons the pyro, apparently. Or something like that. So you're getting attention. Embassy, yeah. So then, yes, no, it's okay. Gotta get the slide kill. Come on, bitch. I don't know if that was a slide. I think that was a...
Eyes on enemy.
Get it?
Enemy grenade.
Awesome. Shit.
You're falling behind, Crimson.
Good. Shit. Okay, so after the pyro, basically you're going to be hanging out in the stairwell just under the roof hatch, and you're going to wait. Why didn't I slide there, dumbass? you're gonna hang out in the stairwell and wait for him to come up. There's gonna be a lot of bots that come up, and you're just gonna kill them one after another until. Oh, I got that done. The slide kill, or wait, no, that was just this. No, I didn't. Not yet. Yeah. Yeah, then he'll come up and basically just throw a Semtex at him, or you know, just go off on him and he'll die. It didn't look that hard. Famous last one.
Alkaline neutralized.
All right. What the fuck? My god, I was... Oh, Jesus. Am I done with this challenge yet? No, I need 4 more. Fuck. We got slide kills. I had a guy... It's 10 at 10. Yeah, I'm just running around sliding all the time and hoping for the best, or skating around, slipping and sliding. Yeah, there we go, okay. The Marine shotgun, I think. Well, I need to get shotgun kills too. That's the other challenge? Yeah, so that's why I'm doing it. Good practice. Yeah, it's working out. It's actually alright. If I'm close enough to slide to somebody, then I close enough to kill with the shotgun. Fuck.
You're being outplayed, Crimson One. Step it up. Damn it, Crimson, that's not good enough.
Alright.
Look, the math's not hard. We lost.
Okay.
This is some bullshit.
That's who it's supposed to be? Oh, really? What? Oh, okay. I was like, what are you... Oh, that's the joke in the commercial, you mean? Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, okay, got it, okay. Interesting. Where do you see these commercials? Yeah, I saw... Go ahead. I saw a Call of Duty commercial, I think just a couple times during the Super Bowl was the only time I think. Oh, by UIC. Having it close to campus, you mean, or where was the billboard? Just like, yeah.
Domination. Capture the objective.
Yeah, I have to say I was intrigued by it when I saw it. I didn't know anything about Call of Duty, but it sounds pretty intense. And
Single shooter.
yeah, I used to look at the billboard. There was actually two billboards. There was one
Locking down Charlie.
by the expressway, and then there was another one. Challenge done? No, I probably got two more. There was another one right by Metro. So I used to walk to Metro, and I'd be like, oh, there's another Call of Duty.
Sighted flashbang.
Actually, Ogilvy.
We're losing Alpha.
No, oh, the same. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was Black. I remember Black Ops anyway.
We lost Alpha.
Yeah, I think so.
Securing B.
Capture underway.
They're taking C. Bravo zone secure. Gray authorizing UAV mission. We lost C. Losing B. Securing zone A.
Cover me. Taking the objective.
We control zone C. Hostile UAV established overhead. Taking Bravo underway. Bravo is ours.
Enemy filter confirmed.
Losing Bravo.
Yeah. Decoy.
Cool. Enemy watchdog
Yeah, that
inbound.
sounds right.
Losing B.
Guy's just sniping over here, fucker.
Taking Alpha.
Let's hide behind the van, man.
Enemy grenade.
We lost
Shit.
B.
Eyes on watchdog helo.
Incoming. We've lost Charlie.
Beginning capture. Enemy trophy system removed.
Reaching N. Securing Charlie. Get me eyes in the sky.
Ooh, I got an attack helicopter.
Losing Bravo.
I got a sentry.
Location secure.
Hostile in my sights.
Touching sentry.
I got a sentry turret on A. Sweet. And a helicopter coming in. Yeah, yeah. All right, and I got one of these Hellstorm. Uh-oh, now I gotta do...
Hellstorm against my target. We're losing Alpha.
It went pretty fast. I did manage to get some missiles off and slow it down, but...
Activated. Taking Bravo underway.
5 down.
Taking B. TACCOM, get a watchdog helo overhead. Losing A. Alpha Bailey. We're losing Alpha. We lost A. Sentry turret deployed.
Got another sentry turn out. Oh, how is this? I don't even know how I'm getting all these
Securing Alpha.
holsters.
Taking A.
Oops, sorry, guy. That's not you. Shit.
All locations secured. Hold your positions.
Oh my god. Ripping them up. Ripping them up.
Losing A. Losing B. Losing Bravo.
Enemy flashbang. Kelly, mine.
Lost B.
Oh yeah.
Enemy
Good one.
UAV inbound. We're losing Alpha.
Roast them. Time to. Is it getting warm in here? Or is it just me?
Alpha. Controlling Bravo. They're taking C.
Nice. Gonna
Securing
heat
B.
things up in here.
Bravo is ours. Lost C. Locking
Capturing
down
the
Charlie.
objective.
Losing B. Charlie secured. Bravo lost. Securing zone
Don't
A.
make me return. Eyes on suspect.
Controlling Bravo. Losing A.
Dude, I've got 45
Capturing
kills,
the
10
objective.
deaths.
Losing Charlie. All objectives locked.
I don't know if I've
Hold
ever
the
had a
attack.
game like that. That's fucking nuts. Oh, I just killed myself as I said that. Yeah. I deserve that so bad. The minute I brag, I kill myself. That's
Losing Bravo.
totally deserved it.
Chakov, Gray requesting LDBR. We're losing all zones.
No, no, what are you talking about?
Throwing with hand cannon.
No.
Losing A. Lost A. They're taking C. Hostile UAV.
Oh, come on.
Overhead.
Shotgun right on the guy.
Losing B. They're right where we want them. Finish the job.
Job.
Lost B.
Archangel 12.
Watchdog Kilo incoming on your location.
Uh-oh.
Watchdog Hilo engaged.
Hostile LDBR drop detected.
Crimson 1 taking the objective.
Switching goals agreed. Dispatching team to lock on survivors.
Like had nothing to do with it. We were just better.
Ranged kill.
I don't know what was happening there. That was weird with the shotgun. Just. Ooh, oh yeah. Yeah, Yeah, 1, 2, 3. There. I'll have to remember what button to press. I pressed the wrong button. Well, yeah, you know what? I got to get one more headshot with a shotgun. I can't believe all those kills I got. I didn't finish headshots. I only need 5 headshots. Apparently, I was not hitting the head on those shots. One more game. Yeah. Yeah. I had already, gotten used to sliding from the other challenge, so I kept sliding, and apparently it was paying off. I kept sliding and blasting people in the gut. Yeah, it was working that match anyway. Hmm. Hmm. WD-40.
Team deathmatch. Destroy the enemy. Lead charge. Working. We've lost the advantage.
Yeah. I'm gonna basically need to walk up on somebody who's gonna base. Come on! Ah, close. Yeah, I hate that window. I think I just text maybe. No. How did I miss that? Come on, that wasn't a headshot.
Pull your head out of your ass and check your fucking.
Oh, they're gone. No, I think they're gone. Come on, that wasn't a headshot. None.
Feeding the fishes.
Headshot. Gone.
Eyes on enemy.
Boom. Triple. No. Okay. Shotgun.
Hostile removed.
Her line. Yeah, it did. No, I was laughing at her line. She goes, "Good to see you, fucker." It almost sounds like she says "fucko," though. Good to see you, fucko. Better than fucker? Fucko.
Requesting recon above.
I could see that guy saying that. Oh, I just threw a bomb.
Spring mine spotted.
Got him.
Mine deleted.
Triple kill. It's funny. I threw a frag grenade in the window of that upstairs bedroom, and then a guy jumped into the bedroom and got blown up by the grenade. So he like followed the grenade. That was pretty. It was very comical. Yeah, yeah, like a rabbit chasing a grenade. Not gonna work out too well.
RTB, Black Ops. We need to have a fucking conversation. Hostile 12. Warm up set.
Yeah, you're not gonna like this. I just opened up a Word document tonight, and it basically had a prompt. I'm gonna have to go after this, but it had a prompt saying if you would like basically AI to help you assist with writing whatever you're about to write, do this command control whatever, and it's called Copilot. Copilot will help you write it. I'm like, here we go. This is Word. Yeah, Microsoft Word. And every time you open up a blank document, kids are going to be confronted with AI saying, do you want help with this? Which is like, what kid is going to fucking be able to resist that? They'll be like, sure. It's like, would you like to do math with a pen and paper? Or would you like to do it with a calculator? You know, it's like, okay. So So basically, there goes the future of America's writing skills. Wow. Dude. Yeah. I woke up this morning and I had this. I haven't figured it exactly. It's not. It's not perfect yet, but it's like a cartoon idea where it's like how it's basically like God invented man in his image, so you'll see God and then you'll see man, and then man created AI in his image, and then the next panel would be like AI killing man and God being horrified or something like that. Just like, because I was thinking about like humans are like humans can be great, but they can also suck really bad. So why do we want to create something in our image that is going to basically either hate itself or hate other humans? You know what I mean? A lot of the time. I know, you know what I mean? It's like, this is not a good idea. This is not a good idea. Mm-hmm. Dude. Great. Yeah, that's totally not the case. Yeah. But you're good. But yeah. Totally. Yeah, it's basically you're not worth anything. Let the computer do it. It'll do it better, and you could just sit there and eat potato chips. Great. If, you'll feel great about yourself. Ugh. All right, man. Well, I got to run, but yeah, totally. We will to be continued. We'll talk more tomorrow. Yeah, yeah, please do. Yeah, help tweak it. Thank you. All right. Have a good night. Later.
terrible crimes against humanity. And I love the way how he just like completely just goes through that. Like, oh yeah, like you might not agree with how he's handling Israel and Gaza, but it's not like a marriage. It's like getting the bus. And what I find funny is that isn't like electoral politics, isn't it about like getting concessions from a candidate? I don't know any real leftists I've seen who said they won't vote for Kamala Harris and they wouldn't vote for Joe Biden who have said, I need him to be perfect on every single thing. Do you know what most of them have said? They said, at this election, I'm basically a single issue voter, and that issue is an arms embargo on Israel at the very least, which makes total sense. And if most leftists had that line of, I will vote for Kamala Harris if she actually gets Biden to do an arms embargo or really, really promises that she'll do it day one, then she'll get my vote, right? And when it's so important to get those voters, this election especially, who are dissatisfied with how Biden and Harris have handled this stuff, that seems like a very clear thing like politicians could latch onto. But then you have people like this, and this is what my problem is with these people at the end of the day, saying, no, don't cause a fuss, don't demand concessions, don't do any of those things. Show the Democratic Party as a left-wing person you'll be loyal to them, and you'll vote for them no matter what they do. That's basically what he's telling you. He's like, if you're annoyed about the Israel stuff, I get it. Make sure you vote for Biden anyway. And what they're trying to do is normalize just basically politicians not doing anything for you. And like I said, I don't think most people want Biden to be perfect or wanted Kamala Harris to be perfect. A lot of people were excited when she replaced Biden because they thought maybe she could be pushed left. But it's pretty clear these people aren't going to be pushed left on most issues. Like, listen to their campaigns, they're absolute neoliberal right-wing garbage, which is far more right-wing than 2016, by the way. There is no talk of healthcare. There's no talk of universal healthcare anymore. That was a big issue when Bernie Sanders was running. And there's basically no talk about stopping Israel either. But if it was up to people like this, you just shut up and vote because, yeah, Trump is bad. And that's the annoying thing. They brainwash people into thinking like Trump is this existential threat to US democracy. Him as a singular person is the threat to US democracy. It's not the whole US system that is fundamentally undemocratic and can be exploited by people like Trump or the Republicans or the Democrats. No, it is just bad man Emperor Palpatine Voldemort, and if we defeat him at this election, we'll be good. Not that the next election will be the exact same thing, where Kamala Harris will be a very unpopular president and she'll be running against like Ron DeSantis, and they'll say the exact same stuff. Oh my God, worst person ever. He's going to destroy democracy. Therefore, I know you might not like how she's handled certain things, but you're going to vote for her anyway, aren't you? Like, show the Democrats you're a good progressive who'll just vote for them because the other guy is worse every single time. I actually told people not to vote for Joe Biden in 2020. I said this exact thing. Every single election, they're going to get worse and worse and worse in offering you stuff and promising to do stuff for you. And they're just going to say the other guy is a threat and we must get rid of him. And they're going to continue to do this. Like, where is this going to end? At this point, I do not blame any person in America for not voting for Kamala Harris. If you vote for the Democrats this time, and especially because she isn't promising to change things on Gaza and Lebanon or anything to do with Israel, if you vote for them, you are telling them they can do anything and you will vote for them. Like, they can do crimes against humanity that we haven't seen this century, and you will vote for them anyway. And they won't even bother to promise anything to you to get your vote in the first place. And they're promising even less every single time. And like I said, if Kamala Harris actually does win, do you think they're not going to do the same strategy at the next election when it's J.D. Vance or Ron DeSantis promising like terrible things for the country? Of course they're going to do it. So this is how these people take like anti-conservative energy or take like sentiment of people who are angry at the system and divert it into something that supports the status quo. This guy is a mouthpiece for the Biden White House, and he's a mouthpiece for the status quo. If you listen to him, you're only getting the status quo voice, and if you're influenced by him, you'll only ever vote for the status quo and against your own interest, and you'll only ever advocate for a system that fundamentally is against you. That's why these people are frustrating, because they're so popular, and plenty of people who either are left-leaning or could be influenced into being more left-wing, they watch shit like this and get deranged by this anti-Trump stuff, so they just become a blue MAGA cult who think people like me, or any leftist in America who doesn't vote for Kamala Harris, they actually are the reason the country fell to Trump. If Trump gets in, that's actually left-wing people's fault for not voting, not Kamala Harris and the terrible Democrats not promising anything to get left-wing people to vote for them in the first place, which seems to be like one of the fundamental basics of running an election campaign is, yeah, if you want people to vote for you and different groups voting for you, you promise them stuff that will get them to vote for you. Like, it's the most basic shit ever, but according to people like this, it's actually no, like, just ignore all of that and just vote for them anyway. So at the end of the day, these people fundamentally do it for clout and profit, and yeah, you shouldn't trust anything they say, and sometimes they'll let the mask slip and go on a rant about how it's Palestinians' fault for their own oppression, but other than that, it's just Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad, every single day, racking up millions and millions of pounds, like, I'd say every month probably. Like, these channels are probably insanely profitable. So that is it for the video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching.
Might be time, chat. So let's start with the Ethan Klein story because it's the shortest story, and it's honestly pretty fucking hilarious. Like, obviously the context of the clip is not that funny, but how insane he is kind of funny, and I take pleasure in watching that. This is a crazy caption. Racist podcaster Ethan Klein attacks Caroline Kwan for wearing a mask indoors during a wildfire, while members of his own staff are currently wearing masks indoors during that same very taping. Let me pull it up. Racist podcasters, so funny. All right.
It's devastating.
Why is she wearing a fucking mask?
Inside.
Why is...
I didn't want to be that guy, but
I was really reluctant to be that guy, but why is she wearing it?
You don't, I mean...
maybe she has asthma.
I guess.
Yeah, some people... I know she got dumbsma, but a mask won't fix that.
That was kind of nice. That didn't really land.
She's gonna play that and be like, I cannot believe Ethan would say I have dumbsma at a time like this. What an obnoxious loser. She goes, I can't believe
Dies of cringe. Dies of cringe, bro.
I can't believe these people are so obnoxious that they're actually still posting. Like, Ethan made an innocuous joke. Okay, guys, I'm so sad about it. So it's devastating.
He's strawmanning just to defend the joke. That was so funny, King. Yes, it was so funny. You epically owned her. You really epically owned her. It was really funny. Okay, let's talk about a couple things. First of all, I don't know if you guys know about this concept, but when you open the door in your apartment or open the windows ever, the air quality that's outside gets into your apartment. Yes. Yeah.
They're about to break. Give them a nudge.
The other thing is you can't even just never open your door because then CO2 gets too high in your apartment. You can't just fucking airlock your apartment or your house because then you still need fucking oxygen. When CO2 levels get too high in your apartment,
if someone is ODing or just doing drugs in general,
you'll start feeling like lethargic and stuff. This is why I recommend to most people, if you live in a place that doesn't have an active fire, you should open your window for like 5-10 minutes every day. just because if you are someone who feels tired often or you feel lethargic often and you also never open your windows, it might be that you have too much CO2 in your apartment all the time because you just don't have enough air circulation for the small space that you live in. The other thing is just ventilation in general brings outside air inside. Caroline explained that a door was cracked open overnight, the night that they evacuated, so there was so much smoke inside. Yeah. And also, it's not like doors are perfectly sealed. Like, if you splashed water at the bottom of your door, some water would probably seep through. It's not a fucking airlock, dude. It's not a perfect seal. You're still gonna end up with some of the outside air that's smoky and bad for you to get into your apartment. Like, what? Or your house or whatever. It's just not, huh? The other thing is, so I have spent most of my time during these fires inside, although I spend most of my time inside generally. I spent most of it inside running my air filter because when I moved to LA, I was like, oh, I really should not move to a place that frequently has fires and not have a good air filter. I also have like a little bit of a dust allergy. So I kind of need a good filter in my apartment. Just a mild dust allergy, very mild. And in general, also for everybody else in here, you want an air filter, even if you don't live in an active, like an area that frequently gets fires. If you don't have an air filter, if you don't have an air purifier, a good air purifier and a good reader, because you need something that can tell you how many particulates are in the air, you should be wearing a mask during active fires. If anyone currently lives in LA and you live in one of the evacuation zone or soon to be like evacuation threat zones or whatever they're called, you should wear a mask at home. Inhaling that smoke in general is just really, really, really bad for you. It's just bad. It doesn't matter if like the smoke, it doesn't even matter if you can't really see the smoke. It's still really bad for you. I mean, I don't know how many people, again, live in LA, but I stepped out of my apartment a few days ago, and I opened the door, air looks clear, sky looks clear, and I could smell smoke. And I was like, all right. I closed the door, and I turned up the air filter. Just because you can't see huge plumes of smoke, which I'm pretty sure in Caroline's case, she did see it, because she was in an evacuation zone. If you can smell it, your air is not good. Did you just tell us you haven't left your apartment for days? I don't leave my apartment. I've gone weeks before, okay? Days is not impressive. Just like when neighbors are grilling food outside. I mean, yeah. This is good, okay? What air filter did you say you use again? I use Blue Air. I invested in a good one that has like a little reader on it, and it tells you like how good or bad the air quality is. So yeah. Do you only order food? I mean, no, I just have groceries that get delivered like twice a month, and then I just eat the food that I ordered from the grocery store. I mean, here's my breakfast today. I haven't finished it. It's just some eggs with some cumin on them. But anywho, so you order, I mean, ordering groceries twice a month doesn't feel like the same as like ordering. But if that's what you meant, then yeah. Some what? Yeah, some eggs with some cumin on them. Some cumin. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, this clip is fucking dumb, but it's also hilarious how just guess like out of touch, even on it, which is only mildly better than this clip.
Then there was
Titled, Ethan Klein uses a racist accent to mock his nanny for wanting to take care of her own family during wildfires.
Yeah. But I don't know why. Then there was like fires in LA. When we got home, we had like a babysitter who was with Theodore, and she had to leave abruptly because she thought her family was burning alive at 1:30. And I'm like so tired. I just got out of the shower, about to go to bed. She goes, "Excuse me. Excuse me, Mr. Klein."
She doesn't have an accent. What are you doing?
It's a fictitious story. Excuse me, Mr. Klein.
She sounds normal.
Excuse me, sir.
Goes, "Excuse me."
Laughing and saying sounds normal is crazy.
Hey, Mr. Klein. Oh, my family.
What is this?
It's a fire zone and nobody answer. And my whole family died, and I drive home. Okay.
Yeah.
But
it's okay. It's okay.
Hostiles reclaim the lead.
His counter would be that he can make this joke. It's okay, guys. He's Jewish. He can make fun of other people. Guys, come on. Honestly, it's kind of anti-Semitic that you want to stop a Jewish man from making jokes, okay? And that sentence that I just said was clearly not sarcasm. It was definitely not.
Objective's vulnerable. Let's make it ours.
Zone C secure.
Enemy SAM turret.
This is crazy. This is crazy to like take the high ground on so many different fucking moral issues and then just get on and put on the most racist accent and make fun of this nanny that wants to check on her own kids during active wildfires. God forbid, how dare you want to take care of your own family and then claim it's just a fictitious story.
But I don't know why. Then there was like fires in LA. When we got home, we had like a babysitter who was with Theodore, and she had to leave abruptly because she thought her family was burning alive at 1:30. And I'm like so tired. I just got out of the shower. I'm about to go to bed. She goes, "Excuse me. Excuse me, Mr. Klein."
She doesn't have an accent. What are you doing?
It's a fictitious story. Excuse me, Mr. Klein.
She sounds normal.
Excuse
me, sir.
Excuse me, Mr. Klein. Oh, my family.
What is this?
It's a fire zone and nobody answer. And my whole family died, and I drive home. Okay.
Yeah.
We lost B. Taking Bravo.
DJ Kinto, thank you for the 5 gifts. They talk normal.
Securing B. Enemy UAV inbound.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Bravo zone secure.
Mm-hmm. That's a small palate cleanser.
Hostile care package inbound.
He's got an antenna for cellular reception. Yeah, 10 out of 10 form. Excellent cat. How can that be comfortable? Easy. Cats are made out of liquid.
RCXD maneuvering.
So they can take on any shape. Yes. Non-Newtonian, precisely. Yes, yes. They're non-Euclidean. So.
Enemy UAV inbound.
All right, now
We're losing Charlie. Losing Bravo. Losing B. Bravo lost.
Taking the objective.
Deploying Archangel. Touchdown 50 UAV.
B secured.
Trophy system was eliminated. Archangel going hard.
Long before becoming the manager for World of T-Shirts,
Oh, no! Help me!
Mr. Bass spent half a decade in prison for running an escort business that supposedly supplied the governor of New York.
How did the governor think he was going to keep this quiet? You had the governor as a client. You would give him freebies because then you have him by the balls, right? Yeah, a little bit.
Ever since, he's been legally walking on thin ice.
I have a backstory and a lore. All you guys have just done internet crap.
From doing crypto rug pulls, harassing women on stream, and allegedly being involved in a woman's death.
I had a roommate named Zoltan who was with this chick. He goes, "You want some GHB?"
I woke up on the floor with vomit all over me, with Zoltan telling me that the girl was...
But how did we get here? Jason Lubell Itzler was born on February 23, 1967, to a Jewish family in New Jersey. His mom, Ronnie Lubell, was a fashion designer, and his birth father, Leonard Silk, was a businessman. But after she had Jason, Ronnie divorced him and remarried a man named Ron, a big shot attorney who eventually gave Jason his last name. Very little is known about Jason's early life, besides the fact that he had an obsession with sex, sending letters to Mad Magazine asking them to publish recordings of teenage girls climaxing, which they obviously didn't do. Jason claimed that this obsession of his started because his mom was, and I quote, "the hottest woman in the world," which motivated him to be surrounded by beautiful women. Obviously, that's a weird comment to make about your mom, but regardless, this obsession eventually turned into ambition, working in the sex industry. Partially, this ambition was influenced by his maternal grandfather, Nathan Lubell, a bookmaker with ties to organized crime, who owned a chain of amusement parks and hat stores. Seeing how entrenched his grandpa was in what he called the action really motivated Jason to become an entrepreneur himself, and soon enough, he found himself working as a cabana boy at the Concord Hotel, where he befriended Jason Bin, a man who published magazines like The Hamptons and Los Angeles Confidential. Being acquainted with so many millionaires and even billionaires, Jason was enamored with their lifestyle, and while he floated between a couple of different law schools, he decided to start his first ever business, a phone sex company. His business model was quite simple. First, he advertised his services as a free live call, but the catch was after a minute, a $4.98 a minute charge began rolling, meaning that any caller that wasn't an expert at flicker gooning would end up forking over a decent amount of money. To say that this was profitable is a giant understatement. Jason quickly earned himself the title of the phone sex king of South Beach, raking in $600,000 a month, which, as insane as it is by itself, actually turned into even more at $1.5 million per month within 1 year. But easy come and easy go. Jason's spending habits quickly spun out of control, with him buying luxury cars and spending up to $500,000 decorating his one-bedroom apartment. As he financially spun his wheels in the mud, tragedy struck. His mother, whom he was still very close with at the time, passed away from cancer in 1994. 3 years later, his phone sex company fell apart due to an unspecified reason that he simply described as an oversight, which concluded in him filing for bankruptcy and losing everything he had, including perhaps the greatest tragedy of all, losing ownership of the domain pussy.com. Because of the complete failure of his company, he ended up owing $4.5 million at 36% interest to lenders. As a consequence of the debt and the loss of his mother, Jason unfortunately tried to take his own life twice. Once with a steak knife, and the other time by taking 150 sleeping pills at once and chasing it down with some scotch. Without his money, things were looking pretty dire. Jason's mother was gone, and he faced a mountain of debt that seemed extremely impossible to climb out of. But in the year 2000, he decided to make his comeback to the sex industry via a camgirl company. And once again, his eyes were bigger than his stomach, as he proceeded to rent out an 8,000 square foot corner building in New York. He went as far as to name his company Soho Models to lure in unsuspecting young women, presenting it as if it were a legitimate modeling business, only to later reveal what they'd actually be doing. Unsurprisingly, this also fell apart. And at one point, Jason recalled finding himself dangling over the side of a building, held by the ankles by a guy named Mikey P. It's uncertain to what extent this little tidbit is true, but given how closely these kinds of businesses are to organized crime, it's probably true. Becoming disillusioned with the industry at the time, Jason decided to clean up his act, go to college, and actually turn his life around. Just kidding. Instead, he decided to pursue another career path: drug trafficking. According to him, he was friends with some Israeli ecstasy dealers at the time, and one day they tried to recruit him. He was asked to carry somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 pills through customs for a payout of $30,000. And while he was initially hesitant to agree to it, he not only took them up on the offer, but he also convinced them to let him smuggle even more pills. To his surprise, he actually got through customs. And after the job was done successfully, he got paid and kept some 3,000 pills for himself as a bonus for the giant risk he just took. And just like that, Jason was hooked, and he wanted to keep doing it. A couple of years later, he found himself on a plane from Amsterdam to New Jersey with 4,000 tablets of ecstasy on his body. But as soon as he landed, he was caught and sentenced to 5 years in prison. Now, prison can obviously be a pretty scary place, and Jason was completely terrified of the prospect of going. So he decided that the next best course of action was to pretend he was insane. This involved doing things like spinning around for hours on end, and while that did pale in comparison to what other fakers were doing,
one guy that got through as a full loony took a toothpick and stuck it all the way in his dick. And, just he's like, this is all you have to do, Jason. Do this every day. And keep going to medical and telling him it hurts. And of course, I would never do that. But he got right through. They said he's whack.
Jason successfully got himself sent to a correctional facility for mentally ill people. However, he only stayed there for a month, at which point they figured out he was faking it and sent him to prison in New York, where he proceeded to bounce around through a series of different lockups since people had the tendency to want to kill him after spending a little time with him. I'm not really sure what that's about. He should have done the toothpick thing. As you can probably gather, his time in prison was far from pleasant, and he was especially upset that his grandfather, whom he saw as a gangster, didn't approve of his behavior and cut contact with him during the time he was locked up. But fortunately for him, after 17 months, Jason was released on probation and immediately got to working on his next business idea: New York Confidential, a high-class escort business, but with the twist that Jason would only hire women who had never worked in the sex industry before so that he could provide the ideal girlfriend experience. At first, it seemed like this idea wouldn't go anywhere. Jason wasn't having immediate success. But then, a girl called Natalia signed up and instantly became the face of the company. He started promoting her using a website called eroticreview.com, where he ensured she got an endless sea of 10 out of 10 reviews. If anyone were to rate her any less, Jason personally contacted them, made them an offer they couldn't refuse, which ranged from getting extra time with Natalia to, allegedly, paying up to $5,000 in cash. This tactic worked very well, and she quickly doubled her per-hour rate, which eventually peaked at $2,000 an hour. Not too shabby. Natalia worked upwards of 270 hours in 1 month, or around 60 hours per week, which, in a very strange and dysfunctional way, made Jason fall in love with her. The fact that she was an extremely active prostitute didn't bother him at all. As he saw it, he would only feel hurt if she had sex with someone else for free. Within months, New York Confidential became one of the largest escort agencies in the country, if not the entire world. And Jason Itzler became known as the king of all pimps, going as far as to publicly identify himself as such in restaurants. And through his business, he became closely acquainted with a number of very powerful people who sought his girl's services, even taking out ad spots in mainstream magazines. At its peak, the agency was pulling in around $500,000 a month, with Jason personally pocketing around $3.6 million per year. But of course, there was one little issue with Jason's entire business model. Prostitution is illegal, which forced Jason to operate in a very legally gray manner. For example, he had all of the girls sign custom contracts saying they were only providing time and companionship for their customers, customers, specifically forbidding any sexual activity. But regardless of his clever legal workarounds due to the time he spent at law school, Jason's time as the king of all pimps was not going to last long. Despite still being on parole and even having a curfew, he flashed his barely legal exploits, going as far as recording a reality TV show inside the New York confidential offices that he pitched to VH1 for $1 million per episode. This footage, which was later supposed to be made into a documentary, has been partially leaked online, and it shows how brazen Jason was, publicly promoting his clearly illegal business. This is like if Al Capone had a TLC show about bootlegging alcohol during Prohibition. The fact he was able to do all of this while on parole is absolutely ridiculous. But most of this brazenness was an act, something Jason needed to put on due to his addiction to public attention, even if it could potentially cost him his freedom. Behind the scenes, he was getting increasingly stressed out, mostly due to having to drive back and forth from New Jersey to New York in order to keep his business running. This stress led to frequent fights between him and Natalia, whom he demanded drive all the way to New Jersey at 3 a.m. just to stay with him overnight, which eventually culminated in her jumping out of a moving car and breaking her heel during one of their arguments. The strain also led to both of them getting into hard drugs. Jason, because he couldn't smoke weed anymore due to court-mandated drug tests, started regularly abusing ketamine,